to her. As soon as Li Lixian entered the city, the leaders of these tribes came out to greet her. Li Lixian walked through the streets, holding Cheng Chimo's arm. The common folk were unaware of Cheng Chimo's identity, but the lords were not. Each hesitated, unsure whether to approach, fearing a warm face might meet a cold rear. In this moment, Li Lixian no longer felt the anxiety she once did, with Cheng Chimo by her side. It felt as though the sky could fall without consequence. Do not be afraid, everyone. This is His Majesty, Li Lixian announced. The leaders were rendered speechless. When had they ever been afraid? They simply did not know how to face Cheng Chimo. They were already aware of Li Lixian's entrapment of him. And now it seemed like a performance. The two appeared so sweetly united that it was hard to imagine any animosity between them. The leaders felt reassured. They truly had no desire to rebel. Everyone understood Cheng Chimo's prowess and the Imperial Army's exceptional combat strength. Who would wish to revolt? Unless one were a fool. Greetings. Your Majesty, one lord said, bowing at the street's edge. The other lords followed suit, paying their respects. The southern barbarians were often judged by the world. Yet they understood etiquette, albeit their manners went unrecognized. Cheng Chimo nodded lightly, exuding an aura of authority without anger. The leaders nodded discreetly, acknowledging his status as the current emperor. Li Lixian beamed with pride. Few rulers dared to venture into Lingnan. Qin Shi Huang was one, and now her husband, Cheng Chimo, followed suit. At the government office, Cheng Chimo and Li Lixian stood before the building. Du Go's expression was one of utmost distress upon realizing that Cheng Chimo had indeed dared to come to the office. How would Du Go respond now? Should he go out to welcome him? That would seal his fate. Once he bowed his head, those who followed him would flock to Cheng Chimo. If he refrained from welcoming him, that would be tantamount to rebellion, a charge that would strip him of legitimacy. At that point, Cheng Chimo could dispose of him as he pleased. The leaders would side with justice and eliminate him. Who would be foolish enough to become a traitor? Brother. I shall go, Dewey suggested. Du Go's heart stirred. Sending his brother was indeed a sound choice. Originally, Dewey was Li Lixian's fiancé, and now that she had allied herself with Cheng Chimo, it would be prudent for Li Lixian to see how he would handle the situation. In short, no one would emerge unscathed. Very well, go and observe your fiancé, Du Go replied. Dewey smiled and rose, making his way outside the government office. Upon seeing Cheng Chimo, he bowed respectfully. His gaze turned complex upon encountering Li Lixian. Cheng Chimo noticed and found it amusing. Did he intend to embarrass himself? Li Lixian's expression turned disdainful. She felt utterly repulsed. Get lost, she commanded. Dewey did not move, but looked again at Cheng Chimo. Your Majesty should not have come. You should not disturb the peace here, he stated. Cheng Chimo chuckled lightly. Disturb the peace? This place is already a land of exile. Do you expect me to change the status quo? That is no easy feat, Dewey pressed on. Your Majesty. Cheng Chimo's gaze turned icy, and a murderous intent stirred within him. He turned to face the leaders. Is this how you all feel? He questioned. The leaders bowed their heads in silent acknowledgement. Very well. Since you have chosen this path, I shall grant you the opportunity for independence, Cheng Chimo declared. With that, he took Li Lixian's hand and departed. As they boarded the carriage, Du Go emerged, hands clasped behind his back. Your Majesty, will you not enter the government office? He inquired. Cheng Chimo stood atop the carriage, casting a casual glance at Du Go. Heh, he replied with a faint smile. Li Lixian shrank back, recalling that this was the same smile Cheng Chimo wore when mentioning Li Ji. As the carriage exited the city, Li Lixian sat within, hesitant to speak. What troubles you? Cheng Chimo asked. Your Majesty, that Du he has no relation to me. I hold him in disdain, Li Lixian asserted. Cheng Chimo remained silent. What did it matter? Whether she found him appealing or not. The truth was that Du he was unworthy of Li Lixian. Lacking Du Rohue's talent, yet possessing his ambitions. He did not deserve to aspire. The inevitable outcome was one of lamenting fate and remaining unfulfilled. Such individuals abound. Some poets feel they possess the skill, yet lament the lofty halls of power, unaware that the court has extended opportunities to them, and they simply do not measure up. Take He Shun, for instance. What was his true talent? He excelled at nothing yet was proficient in everything. Was he a talent? No. Why could he stand just below the emperor while thousands stood beneath him? Because he was pragmatic, unlike some ministers who always idealized their endeavors. Who did He Shun admire? Su Jingzong. He deceived the world, but never the emperor. That is a form of skill. Du he lacks such acumen, lamenting that while horses of great speed are common, true talent is rare. Who would know you are a steed of great distance if you do not run? Assisting Li Chengxian has been in vain. Why is that? Simply put, he was incapable. Li Shimin granted him an opportunity, yet had he truly possessed the ability to support Li Chengxian and secure his position, Li Shimin would not have changed the crown prince. He lacked the capability, being only adept at emulating his father's schemes, such as the Xuanwu Gate incident. Li Shimin's success was attributed to his military strength, surrounded by countless renowned generals, whereas Li Chengxian was akin to the former Li Jiancheng, possessing only the Eastern Palace Guard. In a real confrontation, the Eastern Palace Guard would amount to nothing. How could a pet dog contend against a ravenous wolf? Cheng Chimo arrived 5 li outside the city, where a modest lake lay. They set up camp by the water. Li Lixian busied herself preparing a meal for Cheng Chimo, her small face resembling a calico cat. Once finished, she presented it before him, saying, Your Majesty, please try my cooking. She was indeed skilled in the culinary arts. Do not underestimate a princess, as their upbringing is often more rigorous than that of common folk. They learn many things from a young age. A simple grilled fish was prepared. Cheng Chimo reached out to take a taste, nodding in approval. Not bad, he praised. Li Lixian's face lit up with joy as she sat beside him, watching him eat. What shall we do? Li Lixian inquired. Cheng Chimo turned to her, and she quickly lowered her head. She harbored a desire for vengeance, intent on eliminating Du Go. We shall wait for Li Yu's cavalry from Yuzhou, and for Li Ji's forces from Liaodong to cross the Shanhaiguan. I wish to see what privileges truly exist in Lingnan. Cheng Chimo stated. Order Aaron Yo to bring the fleet over, he added. Chapter 355. The era of leaders has passed. Cheng Chimo set down the grilled fish and gently wiped Li Lixian's face. I am your backing. Those who have bullied you will receive their just deserts, he reassured her. Li Lixian's eyes glistened with emotion. This sentiment touched her heart. After Li Ji ascended the throne, she felt as if she were merely a commodity, betrothed to someone with the surname Shui whom she had never even met. When Cheng Chimo seized power, her marriage was left unresolved, leaving her to dwell in the palace in constant fear. She had harbored resentment towards Cheng Chimo, but now her heart softened. To love someone requires no justification, yet to hate someone often demands an excuse. She found none to justify her animosity towards him. Li Lixian gently rested her head on Cheng Chimo's shoulder, and he embraced her. Thus, half a month passed. The city remained tranquil. No one dared to trouble Cheng Chimo, and Du Go would not send assassins against him. He understood that no one could surpass the special forces to harm Cheng Chimo. Even a myriad of troops would be futile. Report. Han Tu has led the new army into Lingnan territory, and the Yuzhou cavalry is still 100 li away. Li Ji has just crossed the Shanhaiguan, came the message. Cheng Chimo replied. At that moment, he lay on the grass, breathing in the moist air. While Li Lixian rested her head on his arm, gazing at the blue sky and white clouds, her face flushed. Having just shared a kiss with Cheng Chimo, which the special forces had witnessed, she resolved that next time, they would retreat to the carriage, no more outdoor encounters. Your Majesty, shall we return to the carriage? Li Lixian suggested, her fondness for kissing Cheng Chimo growing. Cheng Chimo lifted her into his arms and carried her back to the carriage. With her arms wrapped around his neck, once inside, Li Lixian eagerly changed into a sheer nightgown and leaped into Cheng Chimo's embrace, writhing playfully. The expression of love is bound by propriety, and thus must conclude with virtue. Noticing Cheng Chimo's stillness, Li Lixian pouted in disappointment, sitting up with a huff. Your Majesty, it is unfair. Why did you not act this way when Rizi was around? Why do you change with me? She lamented. Cheng Chimo drew her back into his embrace, eliciting a smile from her. Rain began to fall outside. Night has come, Li Lixian remarked with a grimace. Rainy days are perfect for sleeping. Her voice grew softer. 3 days later, the new army arrived by the lakeside. This humble soldier, Han Tu, pays his respects to your Majesty, he said, kneeling on one knee. The carriage door opened, and Cheng Chimo, along with Li Lixian, stepped down. For 3 whole days, Li Lixian had clung to Cheng Chimo, refusing to let him leave. Her cheeks were flushed, her eyes sparkling as she held onto his arm. Rise, Cheng Chimo instructed. Han Tu stood and gazed up at him, filled with excitement. It was finally time for him to take action. That city defies my command. You shall handle it. Cheng Chimo directed, pointing to the provincial city. Han Tu's expression turned icy as he knelt again in acknowledgement. Not long after, the sound of cannon fire echoed. Inside the city, Du Go and the leaders were dumbfounded. Are they firing upon us immediately? Are we denied any opportunity for negotiation? Cheng Chimo had no intention of parleying with them. If we negotiate today, who shall we negotiate with tomorrow? I have made it clear that I wish to see what privileges they possess. To withstand cannon fire grants them privilege, if they cannot endure. They are undeserving of any rights. In the government office, Du Go's expression was grave, and he appeared troubled. The commander is Han Tu, he stated. There is no need to elaborate on who Han Tu is, they are well aware. We must relinquish the provincial government. Our mountainous terrain offers them no advantage. Du Go insisted. He nodded, agreeing. What you say is wise, brother. This is a solid plan. If we cannot overcome them, we must delay until the new army is exhausted, then strike. The leaders began to flee under the bombardment. The 20,000 new troops were unable to encircle the city. It was no small city. They could only watch as the others escaped. Advance into the city, Han Tu commanded, leading his troops within. The citizens remained hidden in their homes, too fearful to emerge. Han Tu was merciful, as his bombardments spared the civilians. Once inside, the provincial government was already deserted. After clearing the area, Cheng Chimo's carriage entered the city. Li Lixian, seated within, wore an expression of exhilaration. At last, we have avenged ourselves. Your Majesty. Han Tu is truly formidable, she exclaimed. You are formidable as well, she added hastily. Cheng Chimo was speechless. What was she even saying? Having grown close to Cheng Chimo, Li Lixian returned to her natural self, carefree and boisterous. She showcased a hidden small snake to Cheng Chimo. He regarded the creature, bemused. He had expected a venomous snake. Yet this one had no fangs whatsoever. What do you intend to do with that snake? Cheng Chimo inquired. To frighten people. Imagine how fierce I must look holding it. Li Lixian replied. Cheng Chimo chuckled. You do indeed seem fierce. Upon arriving at the government office, Han Tu reported, they have fled. Well, let them flee. I wish to see where else there are those who defy me. Proclaim my decree that all leaders must come to see me, Cheng Chimo commanded. Han Tu acknowledged this. The orders spread swiftly across the regions. The local leaders found themselves in a quandary, uncertain whether to meet Cheng Chimo. Han Tu's artillery had already conveyed to all of Lingnan that disobedience would lead to certain death. 3 days later, not a single leader had come to see Cheng Chimo. Cheng Chimo's expression was grim. It seemed necessary to strike one city at a time. I shall facilitate their endeavors. Go forth, he commanded. Han Tu accepted the order and commenced the siege. With each city conquered, its leader was dealt with as a traitor, resulting in the annihilation of their entire clan. A month later, Li Yu arrived with the iron cavalry of Yuzhou at the provincial city to meet Cheng Chimo. Father, your son has arrived. What is our strategy? Li Yu inquired. Despite being in his 30s, he appeared unchanged from his youth. Cheng Chimo was left speechless. Li Yu turned to his sister, Li Lixian. Greetings, sister, he said. She could not contain her laughter. Li Yu had always been a bit foolish, both in the palace and after leaving it. Li Yu was unperturbed by the embarrassment, while Cheng Chimo felt awkward. Why does that title sound so strange? Perhaps you should just call me brother-in-law, Cheng Chimo suggested. Li Yu shook his head in refusal. His mother was in Gansu. How could he possibly call him brother-in-law? The mere thought of the Empress of Yin darkened Cheng Chimo's countenance. He had done nothing to her. Go find a place to fight. I do not wish to see you, he ordered, genuinely not wanting to face Li Yu. Li Yu, filled with excitement, departed with the Yuzhou Iron Cavalry. 50,000 troops joined the campaign. The leaders were left in disarray. Only Han Tu did they not fear. No matter how formidable he was, he could not outrun them. Li Yu's arrival changed the situation. The Iron Cavalry of Yuzhou was the true rebel force. They did not care who you were and bore no semblance of mercy. After Li Ji's arrival, he joined the campaign. Your Majesty, what is the purpose of your actions? Li Ji asked. He did not accompany the troops, but chose to remain behind with Cheng Chimo after sending the generals to war. The era of the leaders had come to an end. Cheng Chimo nodded, understanding Li Ji's intentions to bring prosperity and harmony to Lingnan, transforming it from a place of exile. The entire cleanup will require half a year. Li Ji stated. Cheng Chimo was indifferent. No matter the duration, the area must be cleared, and the cult of Gu must be eradicated. Chapter 356. Driving Wolves and Consuming Tigers. It would take 6 months to complete the cleanup. Cheng Chimo would not wait here. This task is entrusted to you. I have other matters to attend to, he declared. Li Ji, resigned, could guess Cheng Chimo's intentions. Your Majesty, you do not harbor ambitions towards the Nanzhao kingdom, do you? Li Ji queried. Cheng Chimo's expression darkened. It was no wonder Li Ji could be compared to his master, Li Jing. He was quite perceptive. The Nanzhao kingdom, located in Yunnan, was not large, yet it was well-governed and possessed a complete system. Even the mighty Tang dynasty could not conquer this kingdom. It was not about the strength of the kingdom, but rather the inability of the Tang to resolve the Lingnan issue thoroughly. How could they fight against the Nanzhao kingdom without garrisoning troops in Lingnan? The Ming dynasty only conquered Nanzhao after Lingnan had developed. I do wish to strike, but not at this moment. I wish to see for myself the beauty described in the lyrics, colorful clouds in the south, Cheng Chimo expressed. I believe we should not act against the Nanzhao kingdom. It is a multi-ethnic nation, a perilous mix, Li Ji cautioned. Cheng Chimo was well aware of the Nanzhao kingdom's circumstances and understood the situation of its neighbors. Its neighbor was the Biao kingdom, known as Myanmar. If your Majesty intends to destroy it, I have a suggestion, Li Ji offered. Cheng Chimo's interest was piqued as he knelt before the desk. Li Ji, unceremoniously, also knelt on the opposite side. Drive the wolves and consume the tigers. If Lingnan desires privileges, it is simple. Let them send troops to annihilate the Nanzhao kingdom. And the result will inevitably be mutual destruction, Li Ji proposed with a smile. Cheng Chimo scrutinized Li Ji's eyes. No wonder Li Ji had dealt with him so harshly. This old fox was quite cunning. Be more specific, Cheng Chimo demanded. Li Ji, feeling triumphant, knew that despite Cheng Chimo's prowess, he was still his junior and lacked some military insight. Compared to the new army, the leaders of Lingnan would prefer to confront the Nanzhao kingdom. As long as your Majesty promised them autonomy after they captured the Nanzhao kingdom, they would surely mobilize all their efforts to attack it. If they succeed, will I truly have to allow autonomy here? Cheng Chimo pondered. He did not wish to delve into the complexities of autonomy. The Lingnan issue must be resolved thoroughly. Autonomy held many uncertainties. When the Tang was stable, it was inconspicuous, but should a crisis arise, Lingnan would be the first to break away. Cheng Chimo would not permit such a scenario. Li Ji's expression grew strained. He smiled wryly. This requires a marshal to take the blame, such as myself. Your Majesty is the sovereign and cannot consent to such matters, but I can. Afterward, I will bear the false charge of issuing a decree in your Majesty's name. At that time, the leaders of Lingnan will surely be intimidated. They will renounce autonomy without the need for conflict. My fate will mirror theirs. They are not foolish. Li Ji explained. Cheng Chimo fell silent. This was indeed a clever plan. Li Ji was the grand commander of the Liaodong campaign, and he held significant weight. I do not favor this approach. I shall give you 6 months to eliminate Du Go, Cheng Chimo resolved, not adopting Li Ji's suggestion. My age allows me to take the blame without issue, Li Ji reiterated, believing it to be the best course of action. Cheng Chimo rose. Attend to your duties. Matters of blame shall fall upon me, he stated. Li Ji stood and bowed to Ching Chimo. As you command, he replied, feeling a surge of gratitude. This was his final value. Under any other sovereign, he would be exploited, yet Ching Chimo did not do so. I am impressed. No wonder the Tang dynasty flourishes in governance and harmony, Li Ji remarked. Ching Chimo laughed heartily. The Tang dynasty's harmony was not merely due to Ching Chimo's popularity. It was because Ching Chimo left no escape route for himself, thereby ensuring stability in the Tang. One should leave a path for future encounters, Ching Chimo mused. He left no such path for himself, and certainly would not for his enemies. This was also why no one dared to create disturbances. Ching Chimo truly would annihilate their clans. This was something Li Shimin could not achieve, yet Ching Chimo could. Li Shimin left a way out for future generations. He practiced leniency in his governance, claiming it was benevolent rule. The failure of anti-corruption efforts stemmed from this. Today, one might ruthlessly deal with others, yet tomorrow, someone would do the same to them. Even emperors leave themselves a way out. How much more so for the ministers? By pushing those leaders to the brink, they would have no sheep left to prey upon, and would naturally turn to wolves. Ching Chimo declared. Li Ji was taken aback. Ching Chimo was indeed ruthless. Those unable to contend with the new army would surely turn to the Nanzhao kingdom. As soon as it was rumored that the Nanzhao kingdom was cooperating with the Tang to eliminate the rebels, what actions would those leaders take? They would undoubtedly strike first against the Nanzhao kingdom. The Tang army might face challenges in subduing the Nanzhao kingdom, but for Ling Nan, it would be a simple task. Without Ling Nan obstructing them, the Nanzhao kingdom would be defenseless. I understand, Li Ji acknowledged. Ching Chimo departed the government office with his hands clasped behind his back. Li Ji began issuing orders. In the present day, the main forces of the Tang dynasty are locked in a standoff with the Arabs, making it an inopportune moment to address the issues in Ling Nan, mused Li Ji with a bitter smile. Suddenly, an idea struck him. Now that the Liao kingdom is under his jurisdiction, why not conscript soldiers from the Changbai mountain region? With this thought, Li Ji hurriedly pursued Ching Chimo. Why not recruit troops from Liaodong? He suggested, following closely behind Ching Chimo. Let us muster a force of 100,000, Ching Chimo replied. Li Ji's excitement was palpable. The advantage of serving under Ching Chimo is that one never has to worry about rebellion, for the thought of it is truly daunting. Ching Chimo strolled alone in the government office when Long Gui and others approached him. Let them retreat, Long Gui instructed with a grave expression, a sentiment echoed by the others. Ching Chimo looked at his master, puzzled. It was rare for Long Gui to change his demeanor. What has transpired? Ching Chimo inquired. Long Gui proceeded to inform Ching Chimo of the unfolding events. After listening, Ching Chimo inhaled sharply. Zhang Shigui had actually led his 50,000 men in revolt, already crossing the Weishui River and advancing on Chang'an. Zhang Shigui is courting death, Ching Chimo declared darkly. At such a time, rebellion could significantly impact the morale of the Tang dynasty. Regardless of Zhang Shigui's success, the Tang army would need to provide assistance. You must return to Chang'an immediately to stabilize the court, Long Gui urged. Zhang Shigui's rebellion is merely the beginning. There are many within the Tang dynasty who secretly oppose Ching Chimo, and it is challenging to eradicate such dissent, as many are loyalists to Li Shimin. Rest assured, master. Ching Chimo replied, a cold smile gracing his lips. I have commitments and cannot accompany you back. Long Gui continued, with the others agreeing, as they prepared to assist. Knowing the adversary would be formidable, Ching Chimo bowed deeply to Long Gui. Take care, master, he said. After bidding farewell to his master, Ching Chimo gathered his special forces. How long has it been since our special forces executed a beheading operation? Ching Chimo asked. 9 days, the special forces shouted in unison. Ching Chimo smirked. I knew it was 9. If only you had counted one more, you might have one. Very well, let us recapture that feeling soon. And ensure the world remembers that our special forces are the true masters of beheading. Chapter 357. Family rules. The special forces cheered, for beheading was indeed their calling. 301 cavalry departed the state capital. Inside a carriage, Li Lixian lay with a sullen expression. My lord, do you truly intend to cooperate with Ching Chimo? Our Gu Dao sect is loyal to the Li family, a woman clad in black asserted from outside the carriage. Startled, Li Lixian wondered how this person had arrived. She wanted to scream, but the special forces were absent, rendering her cries futile. My lord, dismount the carriage and follow your subordinate, the woman commanded. Her tone growing increasingly impolite. Biting her lip, Li Lixian locked the carriage door, resolute in preventing the intruder's entry. Since my lord will not cooperate, I shall resort to force, the black-clad woman threatened, her voice turning icy. Li Lixian felt a surge of fear. She could not return with these people. She was now in service to the emperor. You may leave. Your talk of the Gu Dao sect has nothing to do with me, Li Lixian declared, clenching her small fist for courage. I am not afraid, she thought, glancing at the small snake on her wrist, her face contorting in dismay. Without teeth. It seems this paper tiger cannot withstand the test. Outside the carriage, the black-clad woman waved her hand, summoning many others, preparing to break in. Heh, you dare to touch my carriage? You truly have guts, declared Empress Changsun as she emerged from the shadows, flanked by a group of women. Why waste words with them? I will eliminate them, Li Xiaoning asserted. Li Lizzie grabbed Li Xiaoning's arm. No, the prince dislikes our rudeness. Let our subordinates handle the bloody matters. Li Lizzie understood. As she spoke, 8 figures dashed forward, but a concubine attempted to join, only to be restrained by Xiaozhu. What business is it of yours? Xiaozhu whispered. The concubine, left with no choice, held back. Sensing danger, the black-clad woman turned to flee, but Empress Changsun would not allow someone who bullied her daughter to escape. Just as the woman reached the door, she was blocked by a one-armed maid, who swiftly kicked her down and stepped on her neck. With a sharp crack, the black-clad woman breathed her last. Empress Changsun was left speechless. Why couldn't this girl learn to be virtuous? Following the example of the special forces led her to such a fate. She had wanted to inquire further, but it ended tragically. The courtyard was swiftly cleared. Open the door. Empress Changsun approached the carriage and called. Li Lixian's face brightened at the sound of her mother's voice. But something felt off. Hadn't her mother returned to Gansu? How could she be here? Surely, these people were merely mimicking the Empress's voice to deceive her. You cannot fool me. I have a small snake. Leave quickly, or it will bite you, Li Lixian warned. Empress Changsun chuckled inwardly, finding her daughter amusingly clever. Producing a key from her sleeve, she unlocked the door. Upon entering the carriage, Li Lixian was taken aback, staring blankly at Empress Changsun. The women followed suit into the carriage. Li Lixian had gone missing in Gansu, causing alarm among the women. They could not allow the prince's wife to be lost. After discussing, they decided to search for her. Fortunately, with the Shadow Right Guard present, the women collectively set out. Along the way, they encountered Empress Changsun. After careful analysis, the women resolved to bring Li Lixian back for discipline. A nation has its laws, and a family has its rules. Li Lixian had breached the family rules, and thus, the women felt compelled to intervene. Approaching Li Lixian, they pulled her up. Xiaozhu and the others began to strip her of her garments. Soon, Li Lixian huddled in the corner of the carriage, fearfully gazing at the women. Whoa, I was wrong. I will never dare again, she sobbed. The women pinched her and struck her backside. Li Lizzie wielded a ruler. Humph, you need discipline. No crying. Come here for your punishment, Li Lizzie said sternly. Empress Changsun observed from the side, entertained by the unfolding drama. It was her first time witnessing Li Lizzie so fierce. Li Lizzie was indeed fierce. She could care less about anyone bullying her prince, but Li Lixian had the audacity to bully him. Discipline is necessary. Li Ji had bullied the prince, and Li Lizzie was ready to take action against him, let alone Li Lixian. Li Lixian stared in terror at Li Lizzie, frozen in place. Li Lizzie exchanged glances with the other women, signaling them to advance. The women seized Li Lixian and pinned her down on the bed. Smack! Ah! Li Lixian gasped, stifling her cries. Do you dare to defy again? Li Lizzie scolded fiercely. Li Lixian wailed, tears streaming down her face. The punishment was too painful. Whoa, I won dare again. Sister, I was wrong. I truly won dare. Li Lixian pleaded. Li Lizzie remained undeterred, continuing to strike with the ruler on Li Lixian's backside. Soon, Li Lixian's rear became swollen. The women watched in shock, vowing to obey in the future. For Li Lizzie was truly ruthless. In name, Empress Changsun holds the title of the eldest. However, the women are aware that Li Lizzie is truly their elder sister. Empress Changsun is merely a gift, presented by Li Shimin to Cheng Chumo. No one dares to question the bond between Cheng Chumo and Li Lizzie. Despite her usual passivity, Li Lizzie commands Cheng Chumo's unwavering obedience. This affection is not something they possess. Frustrated, Li Lizzie pinches the flesh at Li Lixian's waist. The corners of Empress Changsun's mouth twitch. This girl is truly formidable. Ah, I was wrong, I truly was. Li Lixian cries out louder. Unmoved, Li Lizzie continues to pinch. Zizi, frightened, shrinks her neck and approaches Empress Changsun, unwilling to witness a sisterly conflict. She fears punishment herself. Li Lizzie glances at Zizi, who stands upright, eager to express loyalty. The punishment concludes, and with red-rimmed eyes, Li Lixian stands aside as the women convene to discuss how to deal with the situation. Tears stream down Li Lixian's face. Had she known, she would have followed Cheng Chumo. The pain is unbearable. Make me cook for a year. And if one meal is unsatisfactory, I shall be punished, Li Lizzie asserts. The women nod in agreement, acknowledging it as a sound plan. Li Lixian quickly concurs, willing to comply as long as it means avoiding punishment. Go and cook, Li Lizzie instructs. Woo, can we do it tomorrow? I've already been punished today, Li Lixian pleads. Her sore backside making her reluctant to cook. Li Lizzie glares, brandishing a ruler, threatening to strike again. Your sister speaks the truth. Do you comprehend the gravity of your transgression? Cheng Chumo is the emperor. To lay hands on the emperor is tantamount to rebellion. If anyone exploits this incident, you will meet your demise. Your sister punishes you for your own good, Empress Changsun explains. Li Lixian nods vigorously, covering her backside as she heads to the kitchen. Mother, what is the prince going to do? Li Lizzie inquires. Special operations, a decapitation mission. Some deserve to die, Empress Changsun replies. Half a month later, Cheng Chumo arrives to seize a small city, where Du He and others are located. After donning disguises, the special forces commence reconnaissance of the small city. 3 days later, the special forces gather. We have thoroughly investigated the situation inside. We can execute the decapitation operation, the special forces report. Proceed with stealth, Cheng Chumo commands. The special forces disperse, while Cheng Chumo remains in place. In the small city, at the government office, Du-hee drowns his sorrows in drink, facing his uncle, Du-chuk. Nephew, do not despair. Our master has already taken action. Cheng Chumo is currently embroiled internally. He cannot capture Lingnan. Once he retreats, we shall counterattack, Du-chuk assures. You think you are worthy? The special forces enter. Chapter 358. The assassination of Du-hee. Du-chuk's face fills with rage. Who dares interrupt him? He glares at the special forces, clad in black, with a tang sword at their waist. Who are you? Du-chuk demands coldly, reaching for the sword hidden beneath the documents. Du-hee watches the special forces in terror. There is a legend in Chang'an. Those targeted by Cheng Chumo inevitably meet their end at the hands of the special forces. Even the esteemed Confucian scholar Kang Yingdao was not spared. You are the special forces, Du-hee exclaims in horror, realizing the gravity of his situation. Somewhat knowledgeable, the special forces retort, and without further ado, they spring into action. Du-chuk draws his sword, rising to confront them. After a brief exchange, he stares in disbelief at the broken sword in his hands. Uncle, run! Du-hee cries out, unfamiliar with the terror of the special forces. Du-chuk is oblivious to the danger, while Du-hee is acutely aware. He had reviewed detailed information about the special forces during his service in the Eastern Palace, including battle reports. Without a moment's hesitation, Du-chuk bolts from the hall, finding himself dumbfounded in the courtyard. 300 black-clad figures surround him, and the ground is littered with corpses. The special forces captain produces a portrait. Who are you? He inquires. Their mission is primarily to eliminate Du-hee and Du-go. A scream resonates from the main hall, as Du-hee falls victim to the special forces. Du-chuk's face pales in terror. Who are these people? I am merely a passing guest, he hastily claims. The special forces captain furrows his brow, sensing the old man is not as innocent as he pretends. Take him back to our master for questioning, he orders. The special forces comply, retreating in formation. Du-chuk is knocked unconscious and carried away. Upon reaching the outskirts of the city, the captain tosses Du-chuk before Cheng Chumo, delivering a swift kick to rouse him. Du-chuk opens his eyes, wincing in pain, and looks up at Cheng Chumo, who stands with arms crossed, assessing him. What is your relation to the Du family? Cheng Chumo asks. Du-chuk feels a chill run through him. Having seen Cheng Chumo's portrait, he never anticipated facing him in person. Realizing he cannot hide the truth, he stands defiantly. I am Du-chuk, he declares, resigned to his fate. Cheng Chumo smiles, already familiar with the Du family's records. Du-chuk, brother of Du-ruhue, had vanished after his brother's death. I wish to know where you went after your brother's demise, Cheng Chumo inquires. Humph, Du-chuk scoffs. I advise you not to harbor any ill intentions toward me. My master will make you regret it. He hopes to intimidate Cheng Chumo. The latter ponders. Could his master be the target of Long Gui? Anyone who could compel Long Gui to act personally must be formidable. Cheng Chumo chooses not to engage further with Du-chuk, who attempts to utter more, only to be silenced by a swift blade. The following day, the small city is in chaos. The city lord's residence has seen the demise of hundreds, including Du-hee. The local leaders are left pale with fear. Was it not said that the court could no longer afford to concern itself with them? Why has this occurred? Who possesses the ability to silently slay hundreds, including the reclusive Du-chuk? News swiftly spreads. At the state capital, upon hearing the news, Empress Changsun chuckles softly. Your prince is quite formidable, she remarks. Li Lizzie beams with pride, confident in her prince's prowess. If the prince does not return to Chang'an, will there be no issues? Li Lizzie expresses concern. Empress Changsun smiles knowingly but remains silent, gazing into the distance. Zhang Shigui is not worthy of Cheng Chumo's direct intervention. Chang'an is not easily conquered, even without troops. Zhang Shigui's 50,000 cannot hope to seize it. Not to mention Cheng Yaojin. Wu Zetian alone in Chang'an would suffice to deal with Zhang Shigui. Empress Changsun's thoughts are astute. Chang'an awaits. Zhang Shigui's formidable army of 50,000 besieged the Zhuke Gate. In the Tai Chi Hall of the Imperial Palace, Wu Zetian sat gracefully upon her dragon throne, sipping tea as ministers reported the situation. Ah, Zhang Shigui is quite amusing. I intended to allow those elders to pass away peacefully, yet he refuses to live quietly, Wu Zetian remarked in a dispassionate tone. The ministers remained silent, pondering how to contend with Zhang Shigui. They possess cannons, one scholar noted. Wu Zetian turned her gaze toward him. I am aware of his artillery. There are Zhang Shigui's kin within the city. You are tasked with capturing and executing them, she commanded. The scholar quickly acquiesced, wiping sweat from his brow with his sleeve, privately thinking how ruthless she was. At such a time when they should strategize against the 50,000 troops outside, she was contemplating murder instead. Bring forth the chaotic genius, Cheng Yaojin, Wu Zetian added. Shortly thereafter, Cheng Yaojin donned an armor entered the hall. The ranks of seasoned generals had dwindled. Wu Zetian descended from her throne and approached Cheng Yaojin, resting her hands on his arms. Father, please, Zhang Shigui has wronged me, she implored, on the verge of tears. Cheng Yaojin's expression darkened. How dare he bully his daughter-in-law? Fear not, daughter-in-law. I shall avenge you, he vowed. Wu Zetian pretended to wipe away tears. Father, we cannot eliminate those 50,000. It is an opportune moment for external expansion. With their might, they could conquer a small nation. Oh, how pitiful I am. Without his majesty, everyone dares to bully me, she lamented. The ministers averted their gazes. Such theatrics, Songzan thought, utterly speechless. Was it truly necessary? Wu Zetian noticed Songzan's expression and felt a chill. How dare he question her? Father, you shall command the troops. Let the youth handle this matter, she declared, before returning to her throne and fixing her gaze on Songzan. Songzan shuddered, his scalp tingling. Cui Wencheng was at a loss for words. Songzan was truly foolish. Did he not realize how formidable a woman could be? Songzan, as a prince, this task falls to you. I want the head of Zhang Shigui and his 50,000 troops. Go forth, Wu Zetian commanded, contemplating using this opportunity to eliminate Songzan. The ministers exchanged sympathetic glances with Songzan. It was evident that Qing Chumo and Princess Qizuan shared a history, while only Songzan feigned ignorance. Those with sense would send their wives as emissaries. Songzan forced a smile and bowed in compliance. After the court session, he returned to his residence, where he encountered Princess Qizuan and Princess Wenqing. Upon conveying the matter to the two women, Princess Qizuan's eyes glistened with concern. Perhaps I should go to the palace, she suggested. Do not rush, sister. The Empress may not harbor ill thoughts towards you, nor does the Empress Dowager wish for your husband's demise, Princess Wenqing replied. Songzan and Princess Qizuan fixed their gaze on Princess Wenqing, who felt a sense of pride. This was the advantage of marrying Songzan. Had she wed a renowned official of the Tang dynasty, she would have no voice. Songzan, however, was quite straightforward. My father's concubine is Zhang Shigui's daughter. Our family has an intricate relationship with him. If my husband feigns surrender to eliminate Zhang Shigui, the matter will be satisfactorily resolved, Princess Wenqing proposed. Songzan's eyes sparkled with excitement. Feigning surrender. As long as I can approach Zhang Shigui, it can be achieved. My father left me only 30 men. All former members of Lijiangmen, whom he has secretly supported. You should take them and swiftly deal with Zhang Shigui, Princess Wenqing added, handing a plaque to Songzan. Chapter 359. Deep waters. It must be said that both of Songzan's wives were quite capable. Although the method proposed by Princess Wenqing was not ideal, it was the only viable option. Songzan resolved to proceed with this plan, certain that failure would incur Wu Zetian's wrath. Sister, this plan is too perilous. Princess Qizuan expressed her concern. It is the only way. This is how we can get close to Zhang Shigui, Songzan insisted. Resigned. Princess Qizuan glanced at the two discussing details and exited the room. In the Imperial Palace, in the Ganlu Hall, Princess Qizuan stood nervously before Wu Zetian. Your Majesty, could you please refrain from sending Songzan? I will agree to anything you say, she pleaded. Wu Zetian, seated at her desk, set down the memorial before gazing at Princess Qizuan. Anything you say? Wu Zetian replied with a bemused smile. Princess Qizuan bit her lip and nodded. Do you know why I suppress your husband, Songzan? Because of the reckoning to come. There are 9 princes in the western frontier. Do you not find that excessive? Wu Zetian stated. Princess Qizuan looked up at Wu Zetian. Your Majesty, why not suppress others? My husband is very loyal, she countered. Wu Zetian chuckled softly. Others lack the weight. They are princes of the Tang dynasty and members of noble families. If I could choose one from 2, would it not be outrageous to bestow all benefits upon a single person? The Tang dynasty has many noble families, yet there are no princes among them. They are quite dissatisfied. I do not wish to elaborate further. If you do not want Songzan to perish, let him relinquish one title, either his noble status or his princely title. Choose one. Wu Zetian declared. Princess Qizuan understood then. It was not Wu Zetian targeting Songzan, but rather the noble families of the Tang dynasty. These families felt a sense of crisis. The princes of Tubo lacked strength, and though they were called noble families, it was merely superficial. What if 10 years hence, 20 years hence, they would become colossal entities? The Tang dynasty required only one colossal entity, itself. All others could only be robust, and any who surpassed that threshold would face annihilation. Thank you, Your Majesty. I comprehend now, Princess Qizuan replied. She resolved to have Songzan renounce his princely title and take on the lesser title of a duke, a compromise that would ensure his survival. If Songzan did this, it would set a precedent. Others would not be foolish and would follow suit, voluntarily relinquishing their rights to the throne. Sit, Wu Zetian smiled. Suddenly quite fond of Princess Qizuan, who displayed such understanding. Princess Qizuan sat beside Wu Zetian, her head bowed. Is it not the same with you and His Majesty? Wu Zetian inquired. Princess Qizuan stared blankly at Wu Zetian, wondering if even the Empress held such thoughts. Speak freely. I will not blame you, Wu Zetian urged. Princess Qizuan silently cursed Qing Chumo. It was all his fault. At that moment, Qing Chumo had just arrived in a city. Special forces were reporting the situation. My lord, the gambler is here, and the guards are numerous, numbering in the thousands. It will be quite difficult to eliminate him without being detected, a special forces operative reported. Achoo! Qing Chumo sneezed. It must be someone familiar cursing him. Once you ascertain his position, remain on standby, Qing Chumo commanded. The operatives complied. Qing Chumo wandered alone through the city, which was truly impoverished, with few pedestrians in the streets, only vendors selling food, primarily dishes featuring pangolins, and the like. Few individuals purchase this item, as it is favored solely by the locals. The nobility of the Tang dynasty hardly takes to it. Birds are the true delicacies of the affluent, while beasts are cherished by merchants. Qing Chumo squatted before a stall, where a vendor offered a variety of animals, some of which Qing Chumo did not recognize. He pointed at one creature and inquired its name. The local dialect was familiar to him, and he could even sing Silence is Golden. Tin 1, the merchant replied. Cheng Chimo produced tin 1 and handed it to the merchant. Why do you not sell in the interior? Cheng Chimo asked. The merchant offered a rueful smile, explaining that they indeed wished to. But the people of Lingnan were not welcomed in the interior, often derided as barbarians. I invite you for a drink, Cheng Chimo said. The merchant accepted and followed him to a modest tavern. Cheng Chimo handed the purchased animal to a waiter, who promptly understood and instructed the kitchen to prepare a meal. The two engaged in conversation while waiting in a private room. Is it true that the authorities here are indifferent to your poverty? Cheng Chimo queried. The merchant's face darkened with anger at the mention. They are devoid of humanity, perpetually scheming to pilfer the few coins I possess. Showing no concern for the plight of the common folk, he lamented. It is well known that Lingnan is not a favorable place. Why is that? It is their own doing. Those officials, seeking to exert power and deceive both above and below, have rendered Lingnan worthless, frightening merchants away and trapping local traders, he continued. Dugo seeks to divert the court's attention from this place by maligning Lingnan. Only during the Han Dynasty did Lingnan experience a modicum of growth. Subsequent dynasties primarily focused on oppression. Cheng Chimo remarked, if I profess to have a means to improve the lives of the common people here, would you believe me? The merchant scrutinized Cheng Chimo, and after a pause, he chuckled. I can discern you are of noble lineage. The waters here run deep, he said knowingly. For he had traversed Lingnan extensively and understood its complexities. Cheng Chimo, intrigued, inquired, is Dugo not the highest authority here? Are there hidden figures lurking in the shadows? What manner of person is Dugo? The merchant sneered dismissively. He is but a nominal leader, a king without a crown, named Shui. Cheng Chimo frowned. Shui? Shuiguan? He asked. The merchant regarded him with surprise, realizing an outsider was aware of Shuiguan, a name known only to a select few. He commands all the military forces in Lingnan, the merchant whispered. Cheng Chimo grasped the gravity of the situation. Shuiguan was the true menace of Lingnan. It was no wonder that Li Lixian ultimately wedged Shuiguan, as it illustrated Li Ji's esteem for him. So it is, Cheng Chimo mused. The depths of Huaxia are indeed profound. What is apparent may merely be a facade. The true power lies concealed in the shadows. This reflects the character of the people of Huaxia. In matters of warfare, what is visible is often obsolete. The true treasures remain hidden, cherished in secrecy. Much like the influential figures. He continued, what the media can report is merely that which can be disclosed to the public. Matters too dangerous to reveal go unreported. Domestic and foreign media alike tremble before their might. After the meal, the merchant took his leave, and Cheng Chimo sought lodging in a nearby establishment. Lying in bed, sleep evaded him. The weight of knowledge burdened his mind. Upon his arrival in this era, he believed the aristocracy to be the pinnacle of the Tang dynasty. However, after ascending to the throne, he came to realize that what is visible comprises but a fraction of the true elite, who remain shrouded from the public eye. Is His Majesty present? My master invites you for tea, came a knock at the door. Get lost, Cheng Chimo retorted. After the visitor departed, he chuckled at the audacity of someone daring to summon him. The last individual to speak so boldly was Li Shimin. What does a mere Shuiguan think he is? He mused, finding humor in the notion that someone so insignificant would presume to assert dominance. That night, the window swung open, revealing a special forces soldier who climbed in. Cheng Chimo, exasperated, asked, could you not use the door? The soldier scratched his head, explaining they were accustomed to climbing. Everything has been arranged. Han Tu will arrive with the new army in 3 days, the soldier reported. Cheng Chimo remained silent, knowing that their presence would be futile. For those aware of his location would evade capture. Like mice, as long as they remained hidden, they were impervious to discovery. Minister Shui seeks an audience. A voice called from outside. Cheng Chimo frowned, instructing, let him in. The special forces soldier opened the door, and a middle-aged man entered, bowing respectfully. Your Majesty. Shuiguan addressed him. Cheng Chimo appraised Shuiguan, who kept his gaze lowered. You possess considerable audacity, Cheng Chimo remarked. Shuiguan raised his head with a wry smile. Confessing, I did not anticipate your Majesty would take action personally. Had it been another, I might have found an escape, but before your Majesty, I am left with no options. Shuiguan appeared resigned, compelled to meet Cheng Chimo, as he truly had nowhere else to go. Fleeing to the island nation? He had already gathered intelligence indicating it would face annihilation under the stewardship of Su Jingzong. Escaping to the Arab Empire? Li Ji served as a grim warning. Having met his end from a single shot, why did you not come forth sooner? Cheng Chimo inquired. Shuiguan offered a rueful smile. One does not turn back upon colliding with the southern wall, he replied. I wish to survive. Surely your Majesty does not concern himself with a minor character such as myself. I can deliver Lingnan's affairs to your Majesty. Cheng Chimo fell silent. The struggle to conquer Lingnan was increasingly arduous. Even an additional 200,000 troops would yield little benefit. Capturing the territory would not guarantee control, as the local leaders would simply flee, returning once the army withdrew. Cheng Chimo had no intention of squandering resources to maintain a garrison there. What you propose intrigues me. But your survival is of little consequence to me. Within a month, ensure that all officials from Lingnan present themselves at the provincial capital to meet me, Cheng Chimo commanded. This marked Cheng Chimo's first concession. Though an emperor, certain matters required compromise for the greater good. Shueguan's expression remained unchanged as he bowed deeply. Thank you, Your Majesty. I wish to return to my homeland in Shandong, he added. Cheng Chumo nodded, understanding Shueguan's motives. Shandong lacked a dragon vein. A dragon vein is a natural defense. And without it, there is nothing to protect. Some even claimed that Confucius had exhausted Shandong's fortunes. You may return to Shandong, Cheng Chumo granted. Shueguan expressed his gratitude. That very night, Du Go was assassinated, and over 300 lords perished simultaneously from poisoning. Across Lingnan, weapons were laid down, and all officials made their way to the provincial capital. In a desolate mountain, 5 elderly men sat facing one another. Do not presume that your numbers intimidate me, declared the bald elder. Long Gui wore a smug expression, truly believing that numbers were on his side. Indeed, there were 4 of us, and only one of you. You have 2 choices, a duel, where you would face us 4 alone, or a brawl, where we would collectively pummel you, Long Gui declared. The bald elder's eyelids flickered with agitation. When he arrived, he had been quite arrogant, expecting Long Gui to confront him alone. He aimed to defend his disciple's honor. But little did he anticipate the old man's lack of martial ethics. Humph, I have made an agreement with Li Shimin. My disciple is to marry a princess and take charge of the Gu Dao sect, the bald elder retorted. Then go speak to Li Shimin about it. As for snatching your disciple's bride, that has nothing to do with my disciple. Li Chengxian, the eldest son of Li Shimin, has personally stated that all his sisters are to marry my disciple and keep him warm at night. Long Gui replied with pride in his voice. The bald elder nearly choked with rage. Why waste words on him? Just hit him. The elder on the ox rolled up his sleeves, ready to strike. He had never gotten along with the bald elder and figured today was the perfect opportunity to teach him a lesson. The bald elder stepped back, and the 4 surrounded him. Let us talk this out, he pleaded. With cold smiles, the 4 of them knew this old man was adept at stirring up trouble, and today he would surely receive a thorough beating. They attacked. The bald elder crouched on the ground, hands over his head. One opponent he could handle. But 4 was a different story. It was better to conserve energy and endure the blows. They unleashed a brutal beating for 3 hours. The bald elder's face was bruised and battered, lying on the ground groaning. He truly has a strong physique. He can take a beating, the old man's son Simiao gasped. The other 3 nodded in agreement, realizing how exhausting it was to beat someone up. The bald elder lay on the ground, wanting to cry. It was the first time he had received such a severe thrashing. Half a month later, the 5 arrived at the Lingnan prefecture and met Cheng Chumo. The bald elder, with hands behind his back, assessed Cheng Chumo, who was clad in a yellow dragon robe. His disciple, Shueguan, trailed behind Cheng like a devoted grandson. The bald elder was fuming. He had joined Long Gui and the others out of fear for his disciple's safety, only to find that his disciple surrendered before him. Master, why did you not pay your respects upon seeing His Majesty? This is unbecoming and may bring trouble upon me, Shueguan admonished. He had wholeheartedly devoted himself to following Cheng Chumo. The bald elder erupted in fury, pointing an accusing finger at Shueguan. You shameless wretch. You've disgraced your master. Cheng Chumo looked at the elder with a smile. He must be a disciple of Du Chuk, right? Cheng Chumo remarked. The bald elder shot him a glare. Du Chuk is of no consequence. He can only call me master, not teacher. I merely taught him a few moves, he replied nonchalantly. Shueguan was incensed. He stepped forward, pointing a finger at his master's nose. The elder stared blankly at his precious disciple. How dare you speak to His Majesty in such a manner? You must be tired of living. Just wait until we return home, Shueguan retorted. Cheng Chumo had provided him with too many benefits for him to not defend them. The Tang dynasty had established a railway bureau, and he was the first supervisor. He was even to marry a princess. Although he could not marry one of Li Shimin's daughters, Cheng Chumo had arranged for him to wed one of Li Yuan's daughters, who were even more numerous than Li Shimin's. Some were even younger than his own son. Before passing away, one of Li Yuan's palace maids had been pregnant. Li Yuan lived his life with clarity. The bald elder's chest swelled with indignation, ready to strike Shueguan, who looked back at him with a sideways glance. Old man, do you still wish to raise a hand against me? I am now a high-ranking official in the court. If I perform well, I could become a duke. Do you dare to touch me? Shueguan declared proudly. The bald elder was taken aback, then elated, giving his disciple a thumbs up. Truly, you are my disciple. Work hard, and if there is anything you don't understand, come ask your master, he said. Shueguan nodded arrogantly, waving his hand dismissively. Go play, he said, then turned to Cheng Chumo, nodding and bowing. Your Majesty, how do you find my handling of this matter? Shueguan inquired. Cheng Chumo nodded, patting his shoulder. Do well. The Tang dynasty needs talents like you, he replied. Shueguan beamed with excitement, standing tall and flaunting in front of his master. The bald elder's tears streamed down his face as he presented a book to Shueguan, signaling him with a glance. Chapter 361. The deal. Cheng Chumo walked away with his hands behind his back. Upon returning to the carriage, he was met by Li Lixian, who rushed over wearing an apron, looking pitifully at him. I have to cook for a year. My sister hit me and made me do the cooking, Li Lixian complained. Glaring at her sister, Li Lizzie's face darkened. Cheng Chumo found it amusing. She certainly knew how to seek out a scapegoat. Ahem. Let us stir-fry some vegetables today, Cheng Chumo said, then headed toward the room. Li Lixian was left dumbfounded, on the verge of tears. Wait. Why isn't Cheng Chumo helping me? Men are indeed all liars. She looked pitifully at Li Lizzie. Sister, I was just joking, Li Lixian said. Li Lizzie laughed coldly, stepping forward and grabbing her sister's ear. Say that again, she demanded. Li Lixian burst into tears, sobbing heartbreakingly. As expected, she was hit again. And this time it was even harder. Li Lixian vowed never to report again. Her sister's hits were too painful. In the room, Empress Changsun helped Ching Chumo out of his dragon robe. Ching Chumo lay on the bed, while Empress Changsun lay beside him. Why do you place such trust in Shueguan? She asked. It was unlike Cheng Chumo to favor Shueguan. Given his usual style, Shueguan would certainly face dire consequences. That position required someone resilient. The railway has just been laid. Next comes the transportation. The profits from transport are substantial. The aristocratic families have been eyeing Shueguan's position for a long time. What will they do when a newcomer like Shueguan suddenly appears? They dare not provoke Cheng Chumo, but they can certainly deal with Shueguan. What is he to claim this piece of meat? They pave the roads. Why should Shueguan be allowed to reap the benefits? Cheng Chumo mused. What Shueguan was about to face was all too clear. This was the price of negotiating with Cheng Chumo. If he managed to survive, it would be a testament to his strength. Cheng Chumo was willing to trade stability in Lingnan for Shueguan's life. However, Cheng Chumo was quite displeased. Shueguan must pay a price to appease him. He understood this was a thankless task that would put him at the mercy of those aristocratic families. Not just 7 families, but dozens. He would rather be bullied by the aristocrats than be a burden to Cheng Chumo. Compared to Cheng Chumo, he still wished to contend with the aristocracy. Have you found the Gudao sect? Empress Changsun asked again. The entire Lingnan is filled with the Gudao sect, Cheng Chumo replied. This is a contingency left by Li Shimin. Should the Li family ever fall, they can still seek refuge in Lingnan. The atmosphere here is sufficiently secure, and this place garners little attention, which is, in truth, of no consequence. It is a veritable melting pot of disparate elements. This chaotic reality is, in part, the reason some individuals resort to rebellion. One might naively presume that following the overthrow of a dynasty, its lineage would meet with total annihilation. Such a thought is rather fanciful. After Li Yuan ascended the throne, his descendants underwent a transformation. Though they may not have ruled for 100 generations, their blessings extended through countless ages. Allow me to utter a sentiment that may be hard for many to accept. The progeny of Li Shimin remain esteemed figures to this day. The same holds true for the Qing dynasty. Do not be misled into thinking that the royal family perished entirely after its fall. The mere possession of a single artifact from their lineage could sustain commoners for several lifetimes. Families that once produced high-ranking officials may have declined, but those that birthed emperors are unlikely to fade into obscurity. The descendants of Qin Shi Huang and Liu Bang. How amusing. Let the competition commence. To be an emperor is to ensure blessings for generations, while holding an official position secures fortunes for 3. There is, however, one exception. After the fall of the Qing, he lived out his days in solitude. The animosity of the populace is unrelated to the rulers. Readers, ponder this. The ruling class propagates hatred solely to facilitate their governance. Such was the strategy of the Tang dynasty. Li Shimin employed this tactic, and subsequent generations followed suit. When the time is ripe, rulers will encourage the populace to diminish their resentments, ultimately leading to their disappearance, merely recorded as a footnote in history. Do you know how many lives were lost when the Qing army entered Yangzhou? It stands as the most catastrophic event in history. Yet, history records it in a cursory manner. Why is that? Because it belongs to the past. Those with insight eventually find only one path left: renunciation. Unable to comprehend the complexities of existence, they can only lay down their swords and attain enlightenment. The earth is teeming with countless creatures. Yet humankind alone adorns itself with the pelts of other animals. The tiger, fierce and formidable, does not don a sheep's skin, while humans, seemingly the most benevolent, flaunt their mink coats. This narrative has reached a substantial length of 800,000 words, and a second volume is forthcoming. This tale bears no relation to history. It is merely a fanciful fabrication. In the second volume, Cheng Chumo shall relinquish his throne, choosing to become a hermit akin to his master. The realm will be left to the offspring of Wu Zetian. 2 doors of the 6 gates remain unvisited. Once affairs here are settled, I shall seek a place to rest, Cheng Chumo declared. Empress Zhangsun climbed atop him. Let us go to Gansu. I find it rather appealing, she remarked, resting her small head against his chest. Cheng Chumo embraced her. Very well, it is indeed refreshing there, he replied. Duke, Li Lizzie entered. Empress Zhangsun hastily dismounted from Cheng Chumo. Li Lizzie feigned ignorance, settling by the bedside. Li Lixian has been feeling nauseous these past few days, as has Zizi. Could they be with child? Li Lizzie mused, pouting in displeasure. Henceforth, she would need to entangle the Duke, questioning why they should bear children while she did not. Empress Zhangsun rose, intending to verify the matter. The room was left with only Cheng Chumo and Li Lizzie. I am indifferent. I too desire a child, Li Lizzie asserted, leaning against Cheng Chumo's chest. Once matters here are settled, I shall confer the title of Empress, Cheng Chumo stated. Li Lizzie shook her head. Only by becoming Empress can one have children. Who established such a rule? Half a month later, all officials from Lingnan arrived at the provincial capital. I have but one directive: develop Lingnan, Cheng Chumo declared. The officials acquiesced. Although an agreement existed absolving them of guilt, The determination of their innocence rested solely with them, and their words carried no weight. An agreement is merely an agreement. Cheng Chumo possessed 100 methods to deal with them. Developing Lingnan represents an opportunity for them to redeem themselves. Cheng Chumo departed, leaving the officials perplexed. Should they not exchange a few more words? At that moment, Cheng Chumo truly lacked the inclination to squander words with them. They should act as they see fit. Failure would lead to dire consequences. That day, a grand procession left the provincial capital. The new army departed. Li Ji left, while Li Yu remained behind. Cheng Chumo did not mention the matter of Nanzhao. Li Ji refrained from inquiry. The time was simply not yet ripe. It would be best to address Nanzhao after Lingnan had developed in a few years. Cheng Chumo's carriage progressed slowly. A month later, he exited Lingnan. Cheng Chumo took the women along, enjoying the scenic beauty. Having forgotten that Zhang Shigui was still blocking the Zhuke Gate in Chang'an, Songzan Ganbu's feigned surrender was ultimately perceived as a ruse by Zhang Shigui, who captured him and threatened Wu Zetian to surrender. Wu Zetian merely smiled at this. The ministers showed no reaction whatsoever. Princess Qizuan, having sought assistance from many without success, ultimately turned to Cheng Chumo. In Luoyang, Cheng Chumo was conducting inspections. The city had flourished remarkably, with its population swelling from a mere 100,000 to 1,000,000, reinstating its status as a second capital. Your Majesty, Princess Qizuan requests an audience, a special soldier announced. Let her come, Cheng Chumo instructed. Finding a tea stall to settle down, the special soldier presented a cup of tea, which Cheng Chumo sipped. Soon after, Princess Qizuan arrived at the tea stall. Her eyes reddened as she gazed at Cheng Chumo. Your Majesty, please save Songzan, she implored, a bitter smile gracing her lips. Tears welled as she spoke. Cheng Chumo reflected on the historical affection Songzan held for Princess Qizuan, while Princess Wenxiang remained in the shadows. For Songzan, she would forsake everything. Last time, her attempt to save him had sparked rumors. Could she truly be oblivious? Her heart was clearer than anyone else's, yet she persisted. Did she not care for her reputation? Of course she did, yet here she was. Cheng Chumo set down his teacup and spoke slowly. He resolved to assist Princess Qizuan, regardless of Songzan's transgressions. He would ensure his safety, if only for her sake. Princess Qizuan recounted the circumstances, her voice trembling. Cheng Chumo rose to fetch her a stool. Sit and continue, he said. After she finished, Cheng Chumo frowned. You say Zhang Shigui has captured Songzan? He inquired. He remains unaware of the situation in Chang'an. She affirmed with a heavy nod. Cheng Chumo stood. Return to the capital, he commanded. Princess Qizuan, overjoyed, stepped forward to embrace Cheng Chumo's arm. I shall no longer speak ill of you. You are a good person, she declared. Cheng Chumo's expression darkened as he withdrew. Do not touch me, he warned. Glaring at her, Princess Qizuan feigned innocence, determined to sacrifice herself for Songzan's rescue. She decided to follow Cheng Chumo. His expression darkened further as he forcefully pushed her away. Did you not say you liked me? If you rescue Songzan, I shall follow you afterward, she proposed, thinking Cheng Chumo was merely playing a role. Last time in Xiazhou, he had accused Songzan of infidelity, and now he pretended otherwise. Keep your distance, Cheng Chumo shouted in anger, stating that his previous comments about Songzan were merely intended to provoke him. As for Princess Qizuan, he indeed harbored distinct emotions. Each encounter incited a desire within him to engage in a verbal sparring match with her, perhaps a peculiar inclination. Proclaim my decree. Confer upon Princess Qizuan the title of Princess of Shijiang, Cheng Chumo declared, wishing to alleviate her burden of slander. Princess Qizuan gazed at him in bewilderment. Realizing that he bore no romantic intentions towards her, his only thoughts were to scold her. Have you ever secretly cursed me in your heart? Cheng Chumo feigned anger, his expression darkening. Princess Qizuan hesitated, unable to articulate her thoughts. Cheng Chumo chuckled coldly. You curse me daily? She nodded gently, for who else could she scold? As the emperor, he was beyond reproach, yet in the solitude of night, who could prevent her from expressing her frustrations? I did not utter a word of reproach, truly. She insisted. Ha ha. He laughed heartily as he departed. Princess Qizuan stood there, perplexed by his retreating figure, pondering his sudden change. Had she truly rendered him foolish with her words? During their initial encounter, he had shown remarkable resilience against her barbs. Suddenly recalling that Empress Changsun was present, she lifted her skirts and made her way to her. Upon reaching the carriage, she observed as the other ladies paid their respects in succession, secretly comparing herself to them. Each possessed their own charm, yet when measuring herself against Li Lizzie, Li Lixian, and CZ, her expression soured. How could they be so stunning? She lamented, feeling disheartened. Sister, come see, she called out to Empress Changsun, who beckoned her over with fondness. Empress Changsun was already informed about Songzan's plight. Do not fret. His Majesty will rescue Songzan, she reassured. Li Lizzie and the others understood that the Empress's words were mere comfort, for the rescue of Songzan was fraught with peril. Zhang Shigui was certain to perish, dragging Songzan down with him. Princess Qizuan nodded vigorously, her spirits lifted. Li Lizzie remained speechless. Half a month later, Cheng Chumo returned to Chang'an, entering through the Zhuke Gate, deliberately avoiding other city gates. Zhang Shigui, aware of Cheng Chumo's return, obstructed the entrance, insisting he enter through an alternative route, believing that if Cheng Chumo did so, it would signify submission. Yet, How could Qing Chumo acquiesce to Zhang Shigui's desires? Approaching the Zhuge Gate, he faced Zhang Shigui's forces. How audacious of a mere Zhang Shigui to block the dignity of the Tang dynasty. I cannot even slay him alone. Qing Chumo remarked. The Zhuge Gate, a sanctified passage, remained closed save for military expeditions. It represented the grandeur of the Tang dynasty, which was precisely why Zhang Shigui sought to obstruct it. Qing Chumo rode forth, and the 50,000 insurgents trembled at the sight of him. The generals dared not lift their gazes, while the soldiers appeared exhilarated, unaware of their true purpose, mistaking the moment for an inspection. The tragic plight of the foot soldiers. Some would perish without understanding the reason. This also explained Zhang Shigui's reluctance to assault the city. His soldiers lacked the courage to do so. Should Zhang Shigui command them to attack, even the dullest among them would grasp the gravity of the situation. Riding closer, Zhang Shigui confronted Qing Chumo at 100 meters. I offer Songzan for my life. From this day forth, I shall not enter the territory of the Tang, he declared, seeking a bargain. Qing Chumo regarded him with indifference. The survival of Shui Guan was contingent upon his worth. What was Zhang Shigui in comparison? Even if he captured all the princes of the Tang, it would be of no consequence. Zhang Shigui must die. You cannot escape your fate, Qing Chumo stated. Zhang Shigui's eyes reddened. It was indeed vexing. He had believed this time would be different, yet he found himself alone in this predicament. Why does Shui Guan live? Zhang Shigui inquired. Because he posed no threat to the Tang. I am indifferent to his fate. But you are another matter, Qing Chumo replied, turning his attention back to the soldiers. You have been deceived by Zhang Shigui. Lay down your arms, and I shall hold no grievances against you, he proclaimed. The soldiers began to stir, some casting aside their weapons, and increasingly more followed suit. Only 1,000 remained steadfast, loyal supporters of Zhang Shigui. Qing Chumo turned to Zhang Shigui. What will you do now? Zhang Shigui's countenance darkened. With a wave of his hand, several soldiers escorted Songzan to the forefront. Your Majesty, make your final decision. Whether Songzan lives or dies is but a word from you, Zhang Shigui implored, his features contorted. Qing Chumo understood that his word would determine not only Songzan's fate, but Zhang Shigui's as well. He gazed at Songzan, who bore the scars of a brutal beating. Meeting Qing Chumo's gaze, Songzan lamented, Ha! I am powerless, suffering such humiliation. Qing Chumo sighed internally, looking back at Zhang Shigui. He had conceded. Release Songzan, and you may depart, Qing Chumo commanded. Songzan stared at him in disbelief, while Zhang Shigui's face lit up with joy. Ha ha ha, thank you, Your Majesty, thank you. He laughed, tears of mirth streaming down his face. Chapter 363. Cursing him, Zhang Shigui waved his hand, freeing Songzan. He feared not Qing Chumo's betrayal, for an emperor's word must hold weight. Songzan approached Qing Chumo's horse and bowed. Grant me a grand burial, he requested. Qing Chumo opened his mouth, but remained silent. Once a king, Songzan could surrender to Qing Chumo, acknowledging his power. He would not allow Zhang Shigui to disgrace him. He turned to the special forces behind Qing Chumo. Brother, lend me a blade, he asked. The special forces, decisive, tossed him a Tang broadsword. Songzan drew the weapon, exclaiming, a fine blade. Holding it aloft, he challenged Zhang Shigui. Dare you engage me? He roared. Zhang Shigui, with a mocking expression, replied, I have no time to play with you. I must be on my way. Songzan's countenance darkened. Qing Chumo dismounted, offering his horse. Your dignity as a man, you must reclaim for yourself, he advised. Songzan mounted, casting one last glance at Zhang Shigui. The special forces unsheathed their Tang broadswords, unable to bear the sight any longer. They felt compelled to assist Songzan in restoring his honor, threatening Zhang Shigui with death should he refuse. 300 special forces drew their blades in unison, causing Zhang Shigui to tremble. On the city tower, Wu Zetian observed the scene, a slight smile gracing her lips. Her plan had succeeded. The politics of the court were ruthless, a double-edged sword. All ministers were complicit. Your Majesty, do you intend to go back on your word? Zhang Shigui shouted. Qing Chumo, hands clasped behind his back, regarded Zhang Shigui. I have stated that I would allow you to leave, and I shall honor that promise, he affirmed. Why do the special forces draw their blades? Zhang Shigui exclaimed in anger. Qing Chumo chuckled softly. What concern is it of yours if they unsheath their swords? Qing Chumo replied. Dare you to fight? Songzan roared once more. The war horses of the special forces stirred restlessly. Should Zhang Shigui refuse, they would assuredly end his life. Zhang Shigui's countenance darkened, gritting his teeth. He declared kill. Songzan spurred his horse forward. Zhang Shigui seized his lance to confront him. The lance was a formidable weapon against armor. However, Songzan wore none. The lance proved less effective than a spear. The two engaged in a fierce battle for dozens of rounds. You manage it as you see fit, Qing Chumo said, departing. The special forces charged forth. They would not slay Zhang Shigui, but his more than 1,000 loyal soldiers would surely perish. The soldiers who had laid down their weapons began to retreat. Today, they witnessed the might of the special forces traversing the vast desert. Each countenance was filled with excitement. In mere moments, Zhang Shigui's loyal soldiers lay lifeless. The soldiers stood in stunned silence, their hair standing on end. The ministers gazed wide-eyed, equally astonished by the scene unfolding before them. How could Zhang Shigui's battle-hardened guards succumb so easily to the special forces? Were these indeed Cheng Chumo's elite soldiers? Were these the ones who left Li Shimin at a loss? Zhang Shigui's eyes turned crimson. With a sweeping motion of his lance, Songzan leaped forward, bringing Zhang Shigui down from his horse. The two grappled on the ground. Zhang Shigui drew a dagger and plunged it into Songzan's chest. In response, Songzan bit down on Zhang Shigui's neck. Blood gushed forth from Zhang Shigui's throat. Songzan clung tightly, and gradually, Zhang Shigui ceased his struggles, falling silent. Songzan rose, laughing heartily, even with a dagger embedded in his heart. On the city wall, former Tibetan ministers knelt on one knee, tears streaming down their faces. Princess Chizuan rushed over, wanting to embrace Songzan. Upon seeing the dagger in his heart, she froze. Songzan looked at Chizuan and smiled. Live well, and do not hesitate to chastise Cheng Chumo. He once scolded me. With that, he withdrew the dagger from his chest, blood splattering across Princess Chizuan's face. Songzan fell straight down. A monarch must not be dishonored. Such was his integrity. His final words were not merely to prompt Chizuan to rebuke Cheng Chumo, but to provide her with a reason to continue living. To scold Cheng Chumo was something he knew Princess Chizuan relished. Princess Chizuan fainted. Cheng Chumo observed this scene from afar, sighing inwardly. Songzan had endured until this day solely to die in such a manner. This was the death of a true emperor, not a puppet taken away by others. That would be disgraceful, disregarding the countless subjects who bowed before him, ultimately losing not only his own dignity, but also that of an entire dynasty and its people, making it exceedingly difficult for them to hold their heads high in the future. Cheng Chumo entered the city and arrived at the Vermilion Bird Gate. Wu Zetian, accompanied by her civil and military officials, bowed in greeting. Greetings, Your Majesty, Wu Zetian said, walking alongside Cheng Chumo as they entered the city. Why take such actions? Cheng Chumo inquired, gazing at Wu Zetian. Wu Zetian met his gaze. Your Majesty, while you are present, the south remains unstable. What will happen in your absence? Wu Zetian remarked. No further words were necessary. Cheng Chumo sighed within. Emperors often face myriad frustrations. In every dynasty, with each new ruler comes new officials, and loyal ministers are frequently dispatched. Where lies the right or wrong in this? Qin Shi Huang did not eliminate his elder ministers, and the result was dire. They controlled the court while the new emperor wielded no power. To kill one man earns the title of tyrant. Who could rival Qin Shi Huang in cruelty? Everyone condemned the brutality of his successor. When the old ministers are in charge, the new emperor walks in their shadow. Not to kill. Is that feasible? Zhu Yuanzhang, too, executed his old companions. He still did so, trembling as he acted, much like Cheng Chumo's current state of mind. There was no other option. Upon returning to the palace, Cheng Chumo did not go to the main hall, but instead entered the rear garden. Wu Zetian approached, carrying tea. Your Majesty, please have some tea, she said. Cheng Chumo regarded her. Wu Zetian wore a calm expression. Cheng Chumo said nothing as he accepted the teacup and took a sip. How shall we handle Songzan's affairs? Cheng Chumo inquired. We shall arrange a grand ceremony, Wu Zetian replied, kneeling beside Cheng Chumo. Wen Qing has passed away, she added. Cheng Chumo felt a pang of anguish. What of Chizuan? He asked. She has yet to awaken, Wu Zetian replied. The two fell silent as Wu Zetian began to review memorials. Cheng Chumo rose to take a stroll. Half a month later, the matters concerning Songzan concluded. A new woman appeared in the palace, accompanying Cheng Chumo to court and walking beside him. Upon returning home in the evening, Cheng Chumo remarked, why must you be so shameless? In such a vast palace, are you the only man? How can you not wear yourself out? Princess Chizuan scolded, genuinely following through with Songzan's request to berate Cheng Chumo daily without fail. Cheng Chumo smiled wryly. Could you perhaps refrain from scolding me? He pleaded. Princess Chizuan tilted her head defiantly. I shall scold you, she declared. Cheng Chumo took a seat, and Princess Chizuan joined him. He poured her a cup of tea, which she accepted and drank. As her mouth grew dry from scolding, she said, I shall be made empress, and afterwards, I will retreat to live as a hermit. What will you do then? Cheng Chumo replied. Princess Chizuan lowered her head but quickly raised it again. Where you go, I shall go, she declared, tears welling in her eyes. Cheng Chumo sighed deeply. Very well, let us go together and scold him. We shall head to Gansu, he said. Princess Chizuan trembled. Gansu, the western frontier. In chapter 364, Cheng Chumo felt quite bored. Princess Chizuan stood up. I shall come again tomorrow to scold you, she said. Cheng Chumo nodded. Princess Chizuan exited the palace. Wu Zetian approached, placing numerous memorials on the table, taking a seat beside it. Many former kings requested to resign from their princely titles. Wu Zetian noted. Her objective had been achieved, resolving all matters in one fell swoop. Cheng Chumo did not take the memorials, but looked at Wu Zetian. After I crown an empress, I shall abdicate. The tang will belong to you, he stated. Wu Zetian paused in her organization of the memorials, nodding gently. She had anticipated this outcome. Cheng Chumo could not remain on the dragon throne. Where do you intend to go? Wu Zetian asked. Cheng Chumo gazed into the distance. Gansu, he replied. Wu Zetian nodded slightly and poured Cheng Chumo a cup of tea. Your Majesty, please have some tea, she said. Cheng Chumo accepted the teacup with a faint smile and drained it. Words held no significance. He found it difficult to accept certain matters that left him feeling embarrassed. He did not blame Wu Zetian for her ruthless nature, for all in the court were similarly inclined. It was a world where the strong devoured the weak. 3 days later, Cheng Chumo issued his final imperial decree, conferring titles upon his wives as empresses. The decree concluded with his abdication and Wu Zetian's ascension to the throne. The ministers were taken aback, eager to confront Cheng Chumo for clarification, yet he had already departed from Chang'an. Outside the city of Chang'an, Princess Qizuan, clad in black, stood atop a height, watching the procession leave with tears streaming down her face. She longed to scold Cheng Chumo and Gansu, but she could not. Wu Zetian approached her from behind, and sensing her presence, Qizuan hastily wiped her tears and bowed. "I greet your majesty," she said. Wu Zetian lifted her hands to assist Qizuan. "Why be so foolish? Why do you not follow his majesty?" Wu Zetian inquired. Qizuan forced a bitter smile. She simply could not. Wu Zetian produced a token. "Your majesty knows only 4 of the 6 gates, believing the last 2 to be the domain of reclusive sages," she explained, placing the token in Qizuan's hands. "This token represents one of the gates, the Yinyang Gate." Qizuan looked at Wu Zetian in confusion. "What is the Yinyang Gate?" she asked. Wu Zetian offered no explanation, her hands clasped behind her, gazing towards the convoy. "Stay and assist me. One day, his majesty will return, and I shall take you to see him," Wu Zetian promised. Qizuan nodded, for she had nowhere else to go. The convoy soon vanished from sight. Inside the carriage, a voice questioned, "Why did you not bring that girl Qizuan along? Are you unaware of her intentions? Surely, you understand everything that Mainyang has orchestrated." Empress Changsun expressed her admiration for Wu Zetian's cunning, noting how she had orchestrated the demise of Songzan while granting Qizuan her freedom to accompany Cheng Chumo, ensuring that Songzan died grateful to him at the end of his life. Yet, Empress Changsun discerned Wu Zetian's deeper motive, to make Cheng Chumo weary of court life. A plan that had ultimately failed, for Cheng Chumo had never held any interest in the court. "Alas, poor Qizuan," Empress Changsun lamented. Cheng Chumo lay with his eyes closed on the bed, saying nothing. He could not forcibly take Qizuan with him. Secluded, his days of tranquility began. "I have retreated," Cheng Chumo stated. Empress Changsun shot him a disapproving glance, unwilling to confront him directly, thinking him a hypocritical man. After Cheng Chumo's abdication, the Tang army began its withdrawal, halting its external expansions. Han Tu relinquished command of the new army to Wu Zetian before departing. The Tianyuan Left Guard was disbanded, as was the Fufeng Jinbei army. The naval forces remained unaffected. Ernyo was still at sea, unaware of the situation. Half a year later, in Gansu Shicheng, a little girl ambled along a grassy expanse, followed by a panda, a black bear, and a tiger. "We must catch that rabbit today," the girl declared. The panda, eager to assist, dashed ahead. The girl patted the panda's head, and it lay down, allowing her to climb onto its back. Cheng Chumo followed 100 paces behind his daughter, not for lack of desire to join her, but because she would not allow it. After a previous outing where his size frightened the rabbits away, Cheng Xinran had resolved never to take him along again. Not far ahead lay a lake, where over 300 sturdy men fished, while a one-armed maid prepared tea nearby. "Brothers, the technique you taught me eludes me. Will you teach me once more?" The maid pleaded, but none of the soldiers paid her any mind, considering her too clumsy. "Fish on," they exclaimed, as their fishing skills had improved remarkably, each boasting a full basket. "Please, will you teach me again?" She persisted, undeterred. The captain of the special forces turned to her, asking, "Evaluate for us, who has caught more fish?" The maid's expression darkened as she glared at the captain. "If you won't teach, then don't," she huffed, storming away, only to bump into Cheng Chumo. "Master, look at them. They bully me and expect me to judge their catches when they can't even count to 9. Then they blame me," she complained. Cheng Chumo turned to leave, determined not to draw the attention of those rascals. "It's utterly incomprehensible. How can we compare when they all caught 9 fish?" he mused. Noticing Cheng Xinran had already moved on, he quickened his pace to catch up. "Father, why are you still following me? Are you bored? Very well, you may come along. But no talking," Cheng Xinran commanded. Cheng Chumo nodded eagerly, dutifully trailing her as they sought rabbits. From a distance, they spotted a large white rabbit hopping about. The animals crouched low, fixated on their quarry, while the tiger prepared to pounce. Catching a rabbit was no easy feat. It required all their strength. For rabbits were swift and had their burrows. Cheng Xinran crept forward on her belly, but just 10 meters from the rabbit, it bolted away. Frustrated, she burst into tears, pounding the ground with her tiny fists. "Wah, father, the big white rabbit is bullying me. I will catch it eventually," she cried, venting her grievances to Cheng Chumo, who offered his handkerchief to wipe her tears. "You are right, my dear. Let the tiger dig. We must unearth that rabbit," he encouraged. However, Cheng Xinran was resolute and refused to heed his suggestion, insisting she would catch it herself. "Father, you should return. I suspect your size frightened the rabbit away," she asserted. Cheng Chumo's face darkened as he pointed at the bear. "It must have been that creature's doing. This has nothing to do with me," he retorted, while the bear wore a look of grievance, having been lying flat against the ground and insisting it was not responsible for the rabbit's escape. Chapter 365. The minor cold season. Cheng Chumo was once again sent away. Along the way, he sighed heavily, pondering why he felt so out of place. As a child, he had relished playing with others. Upon returning to the villa, Li Lixian was preparing hot pot, her movements lively, for today marked the last day of her punishment. Spotting Cheng Chumo, She set aside her tasks and leapt onto him. Husband, you have returned. Today is my final day of cooking. After this, I can accompany you on your outings. She exclaimed. Cheng Chumo twirled Li Lixian around in his arms. This is what you said, Cheng Chumo remarked. Li Lixian nodded enthusiastically. Li Lizzie and the others approached. Li Lixian hurriedly descended from Cheng Chumo's embrace to continue preparing the hot pot. They could not afford any mishaps on the final day. It was imperative that her sister could not find an excuse to penalize her with cooking duties again. Li Lizzie presented a letter to Cheng Chumo. Mainyang mentioned that she feels quite lonely in Chang'an. Could you allow Sister Shun'er to accompany her? Li Lizzie stated. Cheng Chumo turned to Wu Shun. I won't go. Wu Shun replied decisively. She had no desire to visit Chang'an. Her mother had already been brought over and was living quite well. Accompanying her younger sister in Chang'an was hardly a desirable task, for her sister was a workaholic. Don't you miss your sister? Cheng Chumo inquired. Wu Shun nodded firmly. Not at all, she answered bluntly. Currently, this place was the most delightful. Electricity was prevalent here, and the scenery was beautiful. What did Chang'an have to offer? It was teeming with people, utterly devoid of charm. Cheng Chumo was at a loss for words. Wu Shun's perspective was quite clear. He took the letter and exited the villa, walking to the waterside pavilion to open it. You shameless Cheng Chumo. Don't think that just because we are far apart I want to scold you. Scolding you once allows me to enjoy an extra bowl of rice. Be careful with that waist of yours. Don't tire yourself out. As the weather turns cold, don't freeze to death. Wear more layers, for if you freeze. Whom shall I scold? The letter was penned by Princess Shurzuan. Each month, Princess Shurzuan would write a letter to admonish Cheng Chumo. Shurzuan has written to scold you again. Empress Changsun approached and said. Cheng Chumo handed the letter to her. Hee. Empress Changsun chuckled after reading it. Is this really scolding? Or shall I write to her to come to Gansu and scold you in person? Youth cannot afford to be missed, she added. Cheng Chumo reclined in the pavilion, closing his eyes. Resting was indeed pleasant, he thought. Empress Changsun understood without needing to be told. She walked to the table to begin writing a letter. Cheng Chumo had changed. In the past, he would have certainly brought Shurzuan over. After Empress Changsun finished writing, she sealed the letter in an envelope. It will reach her in half a month. The train moves swiftly, she remarked. Cheng Chumo remained silent. Empress Changsun smiled and departed from the pavilion. Cheng Chumo kept his eyes shut, reflecting on the years he had spent in the Tang dynasty and the myriad of things he had accomplished. A slight smile gracing his lips. I ought to go fishing, he mused to himself. Without further ado, Cheng Chumo retrieved a fishing rod and settled down to fish. He had not baited the hook, wishing to emulate Jiang Taigong, who famously said that the willing would catch the hook. A concubine approached and sat beside him. There are reports from Lingnan of a significant number of missing persons, she said. Cheng Chumo turned to her. What do you think Mainyang will do? He asked. The concubine fell silent, unable to fathom Wu Mainyang's intentions. She produced a letter from her bosom. This is a letter from Wu Mainyang to you. Dear brother-in-law. The Nanzhao kingdom is quite troublesome. I do not wish to engage in battle, but I hope to instigate chaos there. Ideally splitting it into 8 factions. Cheng Chumo chuckled upon reading it. Having a powerful neighbor is indeed a tragedy. Look at the United States and its neighbor Mexico. A haven of crime. Why is Mexico so poor despite America's wealth? Because the United States does not require a formidable neighbor, it can only remain impoverished. We are in a similar situation, surrounded by numerous countries. How many are thriving? Even those who seem to be doing well have us constricting their throats. China does not need a strong neighbor. Some may argue, but Russia is powerful. Such a view is superficial. The Soviet Union was truly powerful. What about now? They are living off the past. Times are advancing. One day, there will be no old ways to rely on. Vietnam has been divided into North and South, and Myanmar into its factions. The United States watches silently. That is the bottom line. They fear we might stir trouble in Mexico, which can be seen as a transaction. We will not interfere with Mexico, and in return, they want to meddle in our neighboring nations. Wu Zetian's objective is to sow discord among the smaller nations around us. It is quite simple. The Tang dynasty possesses the strength to support local powers, even if they are merely a band of bandits, turning them into warlords. Wu Zetian will not pursue further expansion. The Tang dynasty's current territory needs to be digested. What is consumed does not count as one's own until it is transformed into fertilizer. We are now like reclusive sages, unconcerned with trivial matters, Cheng Chumo declared. The concubine nodded in agreement, sitting beside him as she watched him fish. Time is the best remedy. Under Wu Zetian's management, the region where Cheng Chumo resided vanished from the Tang dynasty's map. 3 years later, Wu Zetian relinquished her power, abolishing the autocratic system of emperors and transitioning to a party system. The throne became less significant, and privileges were dissolved. The Tang dynasty was home to numerous prominent families, competing in various factions. Wu Zetian, bearing the title of empress, faded into obscurity. The ministers ceased their search for her, preoccupied with their rivalries, engaged in verbal duels, and vying for public favor. Wu Zetian declared that whichever faction garnered the people's support would govern for a period of 5 years. Dear brother-in-law, in this time of peace across the seas, you, the reclusive sage, find yourself with nothing to do, Wu Zetian remarked. Cheng Chumo's face darkened. He sought to uncover the final door's whereabouts and had searched for quite some time without success, feeling rather vexed. Wu Zetian produced a piece of paper. Cheng Chumo stared at it, stunned. So that's it, he said, his voice tinged with bitterness. Wu Zetian smiled gently. These are things I have only recently come to know. She wrapped her arms around Cheng Chumo's. I am free now, starting tomorrow. I will wander the mountains and rivers with my sisters. Cheng Chumo gazed upward at the sky. The women had companions. There were many of them. And they could do as they pleased in their lively gatherings. Cheng Chumo, however, felt a sense of boredom and isolation. Wu Zetian tilted her head to observe Cheng Chumo's chin. Hee, if you're bored, you could challenge the heavens, she suggested playfully, releasing Cheng Chumo's arm. She went off to find her sisters. Cheng Chumo approached the stables and let out a horse. He looked at Han Tu, who was feeding the horses. Tell them that I intend to ride out for a bit to clear my mind. I will return in at least 3 days, so they need not worry. Cheng Chumo instructed. He mounted the horse and rode away. 3 days later, Cheng Chumo had not yet returned. Empress Changsun wore a worried expression. Master Longue's face was grim. It is fate. If he does not depart soon, it may be too late. Cheng Chumo is a fortunate man. He will be fine, Yuan Tiangang said. The women looked to Empress Changsun, awaiting her decision. They needed to leave, for Master Longue had warned that a cold season was approaching, and the world might be sealed in ice. We should depart. We cannot worry about the children, Wu Zetian insisted. Several little ones had already appeared. Empress Changsun nodded. Let us go, she affirmed. At this moment, Cheng Chumo galloped across the grassland on horseback. Remarkably, with each stride, his spirits lifted considerably. A snowflake landed on his forehead. Chapter 366, Catastrophe. Cheng Chumo was taken aback. Snow in June? After riding for over 10 miles, the snowfall intensified. The warhorse ceased its gallop. Shaking its head as if in fear of something, Cheng Chumo glanced into the distance, where mice scurried from their burrows like headless flies. Rabbits, usually elusive, were abundant across the plains today. A sudden alarm struck Cheng Chumo. Something was amiss. He attempted to rein in the warhorse to return to Gansu, but it refused to comply, bolting further away. Reluctantly, he abandoned the horse, discarding his weapons before leaping off its back. After rolling several times, he picked himself up and set off toward Gansu on foot. This journey lasted half a month, with heavy snow falling relentlessly. In some low-lying areas, the snow reached a depth of 2 meters. Finally, he arrived at the borders of Gansu, staring in bewilderment at the vast, white expanse. With each step, he sank deeper into the snow, making little progress, barely 5 miles in half a day. Exhausted, he laid down in the snow, anxious for the safety of his wives. He looked up at the sky, where the heavy snow continued to fall. Cheng Chumo forced a bitter smile. It had only been a few peaceful years. Time passed, and he regained some strength to push forward, every step a monumental effort. As night fell, he lay motionless in the snow, acutely aware of humanity's insignificance before nature. Gradually, he closed his eyes, drained of energy. He did not know how long he had been unconscious when he opened his eyes to find an old, fur-shedding bear nearby, with a similarly unkempt tiger lying a short distance away. Upon seeing Cheng Chumo awake, the bear joyfully flailed its limbs before tumbling over. It was aging. The bear approached the motionless tiger, nudging it gently with its paw, shedding tears. Cheng Chumo watched in a daze as the bear mourned the tiger. Soon, the bear cast a reluctant glance at Cheng Chumo before lying beside the tiger and closing its eyes. Cheng Chumo's heart felt heavy, and he crawled over to lie down next to the bear and tiger. Gradually, the bear's warmth faded. Cheng Chumo's eyes brimmed with tears, and he found himself at a loss for words. He rose and turned toward a nearby villa, its yard blanketed in deep snow. As he reached the entrance, a giant panda lay sprawled at the door. Upon seeing Cheng Chumo return, the panda struggled to its feet, also showing signs of age. Cheng Chumo knelt to gently pat the panda's head, which closed its eyes in contentment. Rest now. I will check inside, he murmured, his heart filled with trepidation. He laboriously cleared the snow blocking the door, managing to push it open just enough to enter the villa. The familiar warmth enveloped him. Are you all still here? Cheng Chumo called hoarsely. Well, look who finally decided to come back. A voice rang out. Princess Chizuan stood at the top of the stairs, her eyes red with tears as she berated him. Where are they? Cheng Chumo asked, his concern palpable. This was his greatest fear. Princess Chizuan shook her head, tears streaming down her face. She had arrived by train during the snowfall, only to find the villa deserted, save for 3 pets. She had wanted to search for the others, but the snow continued to fall heavily, suggesting they had likely left. Cheng Chumo nodded gravely and sat on the couch. I'm hungry, he confessed. Princess Chizuan retrieved a bounty of food and placed it on the sofa. Cheng Chumo ate slowly, never having realized that consuming food could be exhausting. Princess Chizuan sat beside him, observing his head intently. When she first met Cheng Chumo, he had been bald. Now, he sported long hair that could be tied into a braid. She reached out to brush the snow from his hair, only to halt in shock upon realizing it was not snow, but a head full of white hair. Words failed her as she refrained from scolding him. Her heart filled with sympathy instead. Is it snowing in Chang'an? Cheng Chumo inquired. Princess Chizuan nodded. Yes, quite heavily. I intended to come find you, but I feared the snow would worsen, making it impossible for me to scold you. Cheng Chumo forced a smile, closing his eyes to rest, hoping the others were safe. This heavy snow. I wonder when it will cease, Princess Chizuan remarked, unable to bear the sight of his white hair, which pained her heart. I will fetch you some water for a wash, she added before rising. Cheng Chumo remained silent. Shortly, she returned with water, helping him up. Cheng Chumo entered the bathing area, grateful for the villa's amenities, including a pressure well and easy access to hot water. After starting the generator and placing the heating rod in the water, he sank into the tub, eventually drifting off to sleep. When he awoke, Princess Chizuan had prepared a meal. He emerged in his pajamas, feeling rejuvenated. "Let's eat," she said, refraining from criticizing him further. Cheng Chumo regarded her with confusion. "Your lack of reprimand is somewhat disconcerting," he joked. Princess Chizuan shot him a glare, her gaze lingering on his white hair, and chose not to continue her scolding. Feeling a pang of compassion. "I've been in a poor mood lately. Wait until I feel better before I berate you," she replied. Cheng Chumo picked up his chopsticks and resumed eating, choosing not to respond. "If you hadn't opened the door, I might still be trapped inside," she remarked. Noting how the heavy snow had blocked the exterior. "It's freezing outside. You should stay indoors," Cheng Chumo advised. After their meal, he took a shovel to clear the snow, attempting to dig a hole, but the ground was too hard, forcing him to abandon the effort. With the panda's assistance, he dragged the deceased bear and tiger into the yard. Cheng Chumo stood silently for a long while, gazing at the fallen bear and tiger. Princess Chizuan stood beside him. "They saved my life. Had they not done so, they might have lived for years more," Cheng Chumo reflected. Princess Chizuan nodded. "Sometimes, beasts exhibit more loyalty than humans," she replied. Cheng Chumo bowed in respect to the animals, remaining silent. Returning to the room, he prepared to communicate with the outside world. Fortunately, the villa had a hot air balloon atop it. "Let us ascend to the roof," he suggested to Princess Chizuan. Suddenly, the snowfall intensified, and Cheng Chumo frowned. "What is this situation? Still snowing?" "Helpless. I can only return to the villa. We are trapped here. What should we do?" The Princess of Chizuan expressed her discontent. Indifferent. She felt a deep fear when alone, gazing out the window each day, yearning for freedom. However, after Cheng Chumo returned, her thoughts shifted. Being with Cheng Chumo was pleasant. She could even scold him now and then. Cheng Chumo, in a foul mood, paid little heed to her remarks, his expression grim. He was eager to learn about the outside world. Chapter 367. Trapped in the villa, seeing Cheng Chumo in such a state brought joy to the Princess of Chizuan. The two could waste away their days here. "Did you see Hantu when you arrived?" Cheng Chumo inquired. The princess shook her head. Cheng Chumo sighed. Without Hantu, he felt uncertain. He trusted Hantu would wait for him unless extraordinary circumstances intervened, even amid heavy snow. Now that Hantu was absent, this snowstorm seemed to be more than just a local event. Its impact must be widespread. "Sleep," Cheng Chumo suggested. The princess shot him a glance, aware he merely wanted to rest. "Lie down. I'll help clean your ears," she offered, her cheeks flushing. Such a task was not typically assigned to just anyone. In her youth, her mother had assisted her, and as an adult, it was her wife's duty. How could an opponent help with such a personal task? "Living under the same roof, I worry you might be too dirty," she added, her reasoning rather flimsy. Cheng Chumo reclined on the sofa, his feet facing the princess. She pinched his calf sharply. "Turn around." Cheng Chumo winced and sat up, rubbing his leg before pivoting to face her. The princess could hardly contain her laughter. "Rest your head on my lap," she insisted, her voice barely above a whisper. Cheng Chumo complied, but upon contact, the princess stiffened. "Are you going to continue?" he asked, eyes closed. The princess hesitated, her cheeks reddening. Although she wished to proceed, her body trembled. "I'll adapt soon, just lie down. If you're tired, you can sleep," she replied. She knew she must not voice her true feelings, fearing Cheng Chumo would mock her. Cheng Chumo shifted his head, finding a comfortable position, and closed his eyes. His movement nearly made the princess cry out, her face heating up. After a while, she grew accustomed to Cheng Chumo resting on her lap, gazing down at his profile. He had fallen asleep, his forehead beaded with sweat, clearly exhausted. A pang of sympathy struck the princess. She reached out to caress his face. Few truly understood Cheng Chumo, but she was undoubtedly one of them. She recalled their encounter upon entering Tubo, when Cheng Chumo had blocked her way, leading to a fierce exchange of insults. Those moments spent arguing were her happiest. "Why are you so resistant to insults?" she murmured. As Cheng Chumo's breathing steadied, a smile crept onto the princess's lips. This was the essence of a peaceful slumber. She reached for an ear scoop from the table, gently parting Cheng Chumo's hair and delicately cleaning one of his ears. He slept soundly, and she only attended to one ear, leaving the other untouched for the next day, using it as an excuse to keep him resting on her lap. Once finished, the princess embraced Cheng Chumo's head and drifted off to sleep. In the morning, she awoke abruptly, sitting up to find their positions rather unflattering. Cheng Chumo clung to her thigh while she held his waist. Straightening her posture, she adjusted her skirt. The villa required little clothing, as it was warm inside despite the frigid temperatures outside. The princess felt her cheeks flush. Cheng Chumo's grip was tight, and he occasionally nudged his head against her leg. She closed her eyes, her heart racing, gently pressing her hands on his head to encourage him to move less. After an indeterminate time, Cheng Chumo awoke and sat up. The princess quickly dashed to the bathroom. When she returned, Cheng Chumo was cooking simple noodles. "Are these provisions all yours?" he asked, surprised to find such items in the villa. The princess shook her head, explaining that everything was already there when she arrived. Approaching the dining table, she clarified, "There was an abundance of food when I came. which I organized into the cold storage. Cheng Chumo smiled, realizing it must have been left by the wives before they departed. Soon the noodles were ready, and the princess helped serve. After they had their fill, they gazed out the window at the ongoing snowfall, uncertain how long it would persist. Let us go to the rooftop and take a look, Cheng Chumo suggested, and the princess followed him. The rooftop, made of glass, was free of snow, save for a few flakes that briefly landed before sliding away. A large bed sat there, and after brushing off the dust, the princess sat on the edge, watching the exterior. Cheng Chumo reclined on the bed, also gazing outside. Silence enveloped them as the snow continued to lessen. Cheng Chumo picked up binoculars to survey the distance, seeing nothing but a vast expanse of white. Are there still people in Gansu? The princess asked. Yes, he replied succinctly. Snow differed from rain. The latter was merciless, while the former offered a chance for the populace to evacuate before being overwhelmed. After a prolonged observation with no sign of life, it seemed the residents had been relocated. If they had tea, someone would surely emerge to investigate. Your other ear remains untouched, the princess remarked. Cheng Chumo turned to her, locking eyes with the princess, who felt a pang of guilt. One must not abandon their tasks halfway, she asserted. Cheng Chumo found amusement in her seriousness. He had indeed slept soundly, but he was aware of how the previous night had unfolded and why she had fled in the morning. All right, he conceded. The princess lowered her head, removing her shoes before sitting on the bed, adjusting her clothing as she felt a chill. Cheng Chumo retrieved a blanket, and the princess shot him a fierce glare before snuggling under it. Cheng Chumo nestled into the covers, asking, "Where shall I lie?" The princess patted the pillow, and Cheng Chumo, following her cue, lay on his side, facing her. She took out the ear scoop again, positioning herself sideways to clean her ears. Her chest aligned with Cheng Chumo's face. The ear had already been cleaned yesterday, and Princess Chizuan did not offer a reminder. She thought to herself that it was not intentional. It was Cheng Chumo who lay like this. Today, she would clean one ear, and tomorrow, the other. The snowy day made her drowsy. After a brief cleanse, she discovered that Cheng Chumo had already fallen asleep. Princess Chizuan placed the ear scoop aside, nestled into the quilt. Turning to face Cheng Chumo, she shifted closer to him, feeling the warmth radiate from his side, muttering to herself that she did not intend to snuggle up to him. After a moment's contemplation, she decided to remove her outer garment, rising quietly to do so before swiftly diving back into the quilt. Cheng Chumo instinctively wrapped his arms around her, exclaiming how warm it was. Princess Chizuan widened her eyes, frozen in place. Even asleep, he was so shameless. She felt the urge to scold him. She pressed herself closer to Cheng Chumo, who wore nothing but his pajamas, and the warmth of the quilt enveloped them both. They slept soundly. In the afternoon, Cheng Chumo opened his eyes and climbed out of the quilt, only to find that it was raining outside. This is bad, he said, his complexion darkening. This means no respite for the common people. Rain combined with snow turns into ice. A shiver ran through him as he hurried back under the covers. Will the common people have a way to survive? Princess Chizuan asked. Cheng Chumo edged closer to her. First snow, then rain, and it will freeze over. This place will be encased in ice. He continued, not only do the common people lack a way out, but if this persists, neither will we. They were unable to contact the outside world. What shall we do? She inquired, her tone casual, showing no concern. To her, dying here with Cheng Chumo seemed a fitting end. Cheng Chumo remained silent, lost in thought as he listened to the sound of rain, staring at the blurred glass ceiling. Princess Chizuan turned to study his profile. What will tomorrow bring? She asked again. The snow had already accumulated to several meters, and combined with the rain, it would surely be exceedingly hard. What tomorrow could there be? Receiving no answer, she pulled Cheng Chumo's arm closer, resting her head against it. I'm cold, she murmured. Cheng Chumo tightened his embrace, and Princess Chizuan nestled against him, her hands resting on his body. They remained oblivious to the outside world, and the world remained unaware of them, as everyone was experiencing the same ordeal. In Chang'an, much like Gansu, the landscape was blanketed in ice and snow. The noble families had not abandoned the common people, for they had just recently gained power, and without the populace, what use was authority? All the city gates of Chang'an stood wide open. Anyone who entered would be accommodated and fed without worry. In the imperial palace, ministers gathered, each sighing heavily. They had opened the granaries, yet no one knew who would receive the grain. They were unaware of the conditions in various regions. Let us send up hot air balloons, suggested Cui Wenqing. The ministers nodded, acknowledging that it was the only course of action. They too were eager to learn about the outside situation. What will we do if all of the Tang dynasty is like this? Lu Qingqing remarked, eliciting bitter smiles from the ministers. They had already surmised the outcome. More than likely, the entire Tang would be in the same plight, and it wasn't just the Tang. No noble family would escape unscathed. Our Tang people are well fed and housed sturdily. Even if buried under snow, they won't perish. The priority now is to protect those within the city. For the common folk are of utmost importance, one minister stated. Everyone nodded in agreement. With a population of 1 million in the city, as long as they remained, the Tang would not cease to exist. The ministers dispersed, and Cui Wensheng wandered through the palace, which was now nearly deserted. The concubines had long since followed Wu Zetian, leaving only a few palace maids without anywhere to go. Did His Majesty foresee this? It's no wonder Cheng Chumo abdicated. It's no wonder Wu Zetian relinquished power. Alas, this leaves all the difficult problems for us, Cui Wenqing mused. A young man approached, hands clasped behind his back. He was a child raised by Wu Zetian, his father being a general. Upon seeing him, Cui Wenqing smiled. Why not go to the grasslands? He suggested. The young man stepped closer, placing his hands together in front of him and bowing. His Majesty instructed me to remain in the palace. It's not so bad being here alone, he replied. Cui Wenqing chuckled ruefully. Indeed, it's not so bad being alone in the palace. Cui Wenqing left the palace. That day, thousands of hot air balloons ascended into the rain and flew in all directions. In Gansu, the rain had ceased. Cheng Chimo opened the door and stepped outside with Princess Chizuan. A giant panda, nestled in the warehouse, rose to observe him. The warehouse was filled with yellowing bamboo. Yet the panda did not eat, it lacked the strength. Cheng Chimo began to clear the ice and snow, knowing that if left unattended after the rain, a thick layer of ice would form. The sun shone brightly, illuminating the snowy expanse. From a high vantage point, the land resembled a mirror. After 3 days, the snow was cleared, and Cheng Chimo prepared to make a snowboard so he could explore other places. Princess Chizuan crouched beside him, asking, will you take me with you? Cheng Chimo nodded. Let us go see together. Joy illuminated Princess Chizuan's face, and her relationship with Cheng Chimo had grown closer. Cheng Chimo felt a sense of discomfort with the current Princess Chizuan. He still preferred the woman who used to scold him. Princess Chizuan was aware of this. Yet looking at Cheng Chimo's head full of white hair, she found it hard to voice her thoughts. Once the snowboard was complete, Cheng Chimo made an ice vehicle as well. He stood up and scooped Princess Chizuan into his arms. She was momentarily taken aback before her face darkened with anger. Put me down, you shameless Cheng Chimo. What do you think you're doing? Cheng Chimo laughed heartily, carrying Princess Chizuan back to the villa. Once inside, he tossed her onto the sofa. With her eyes closed, Princess Chizuan awaited his next move, but Cheng Chimo had already gone to the cold storage for supplies. Her face flushed with anger as she wished she could strangle him. Cheng Chimo soon returned, carrying a large backpack filled with provisions. Let us go, he announced. Are we leaving just like that? Princess Chizuan asked, her face reddening. Shouldn't we take care of things first? Cheng Chimo nodded. Princess Chizuan's expression dimmed, losing confidence as she realized Cheng Chimo still had no intentions toward her. Let us go, he urged. They both donned their fitted clothing and exited the villa, with Cheng Chimo locking the door behind them. As they stepped onto the icy surface, Princess Chizuan slipped and fell comically. Ha ha! Cheng Chimo laughed heartlessly. Princess Chizuan, in a huff, chased after him, her indignation rising. Stop running, you shameless Cheng Chimo. You're bullying me. Princess Chizuan, filled with fury, scolded loudly. Cheng Chimo returned after a quick run to her side. With a sharp glare at Cheng Chimo, Princess Chizuan obediently mounted the ice vehicle. Cheng Chimo, guiding the two of them, headed straight for Shicheng. The distance to Shicheng was not great, and within a day, they arrived. Upon gazing at the stone city, Cheng Chimo stood frozen in place. The once bustling Shicheng had vanished, encased in ice and snow. The government office was gone, the station was missing, and only a meter of the city wall remained exposed. Everything had disappeared, Cheng Chimo muttered. Princess Chizuan also stared blankly at Shicheng, questioning why this was so. She had witnessed the prosperity of Shicheng, a pivotal hub along the Silk Road and a vital railway supply station, bustling with a population of 200,000. Were they all buried beneath the snow? Princess Chizuan wondered aloud. Cheng Chimo remained silent, pulling out tools to begin digging. Princess Chizuan grasped his arm. Stop digging, she urged. Cheng Chimo did not respond and continued to excavate, fully aware that even if he unearthed the entire city, no living soul would be found. It had been too long. Let us inquire in Longxi. The people of Shicheng may have departed in advance, Princess Chizuan suggested to comfort him. Cheng Chimo rose, acknowledging her words. The Li family of Longxi was merely 100 miles away. If they were safe, then the citizens would likely be unharmed as well. Princess Chizuan hastily climbed onto the ice vehicle, fearing Cheng Chimo might leave her behind. Cheng Chimo steered the vehicle towards the Li family of Longxi. 7 days passed in transit. Upon reaching Longxi, Cheng Chimo's heart sank into despair. Chapter 369. Undercurrents. Princess Chizuan stood beside Cheng Chimo. Are we still searching? She asked. Ahead lay a vast expanse of whiteness. Cheng Chimo turned the ice vehicle around. There is no need to search any longer. Princess Chizuan, her face etched with concern, followed him, wanting to offer words of encouragement but unsure how to begin. Let us venture to the western regions, Cheng Chimo proposed. Princess Chizuan nodded in agreement. The two altered their course, heading towards Tubo. In contrast to the icy desolation of the Tang Empire, the Arab Empire faced a different scene. Despite the heavy snowfall, the desert struggled to retain the snow. News from the border reported that all territories south of the Great Stone Kingdom were blanketed in blizzards. This is a divine opportunity, one minister proclaimed. The Arab king laughed heartily, and the ministers rejoiced. Your Majesty, we must seize this chance to conquer the Tang, a military general declared, to which all the ministers echoed their agreement, recognizing it as a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Very well, prepare the troops and await the thawing of Tang's snow. Then we shall march directly on Chang'an, the Arab king commanded. Your Majesty, this is unwise, the prince interjected. A starving camel is larger than a horse. We remain unaware of the size of Tang's remaining forces. If they still possess an army, the Arab Empire is doomed. The prince, having visited Tang, understood its strength. He did not believe that a mere snowfall could obliterate the Tang Empire. Given the vastness of Tang, there must be regions untouched by the snow. Do not underestimate even one or two such areas. As long as they can support Tang's population of millions, there exists a chance for resurgence. The ministers regarded the prince with disdain. This prince has lost his way, still favoring the Tang in such times. No matter how powerful Tang may be, it cannot fight against nature. Even if a few areas remain snow-free, what then? The strength of the Tang lies in its self-sufficiency. Now, unable to sustain itself. Waiting is futile. I oppose this, another prince spoke up. The ministers turned to him, curious to hear his dissent. I oppose what my elder brother has said. The Tang is thoroughly incapacitated. If we do not attack now, when shall we? The prince continued. I am willing to lead 200,000 troops directly to Chang'an. The elder prince glared at the younger. Cui Wencheng is correct. There will always be those who rise to contest the throne. Do you know how far we are from Chang'an? Do you understand how long it will take 200,000 troops to reach it? The elder prince asserted. Some ministers began to ponder this. Indeed, the elder prince is right. The distance to Chang'an is considerable, and the front too lengthy. Enough of this bickering. We must unite against a common foe. An assault on the Tang is imperative, declared the Arab king. The elder prince sighed inwardly, restraining himself from further protest. He wished to chastise his father for his short-sightedness. I believe we should send aid for humanitarian relief, one minister suggested, garnering agreement from others. First, we must ascertain the situation in Tang. Engaging them is no small matter. Without certainty of victory, we cannot act. The Arab king nodded. I am willing to advance. The elder prince insisted, but the king ignored him and turned to the younger prince. You may send someone, the king instructed. After the court adjourned, the elder prince visited the Cui family branch. While referred to as a branch, it was merely a liaison point, devoid of any actual members of the Cui family. He handed a letter to a servant. The Cui family was presumed to have departed. Liaodong, commander, the region south of Shanhai Pass is now covered in blizzards. This is a fortuitous opportunity. If the Liaodong army emerges from the pass, we can undoubtedly seize the entire nation, a military general proclaimed. Li Ji, with a penetrating gaze, concealed his thoughts. It seems only Chang'an remains inhabited. If we capture it, you shall be emperor, the general added. Li Ji hesitated, fully aware that this blizzard would not severely impact Chang'an. The real test would come afterward. As his subordinate suggested, should the Liaodong army cross Shanhai Pass, great success could follow, with no one to impede their advance. Opportunity knocks, and time waits for no one. Prepare the troops. The current nationwide snowfall favors northern forces. Aligning with heaven and earth, the general continued. His assertions were not incorrect. Indeed, this was the case. Prepare the army, Li Ji commanded, deciding to take a gamble. Should he succeed, he would be emperor. Should he fail, what of it? He had already grown old. I shall revert to my original name, Su Shiji, Li Ji declared. He had long excelled in patience, having altered his name to curry favor with Li Shimin due to sharing a character in their names. This choice revealed his character. Ever eager to align with the emperor. This was also where he fell short compared to Li Jing. Although their names were similar, he could not rival Li Jing, who had the backing of the Longxi Li family. Now, with a rare opportunity at hand, he resolved to avenge the grievances of his unfulfilled ambitions. Why should Li Jing wield military power throughout his life while he, Su Shiji, languished in obscurity, confined to Liaodong? At this moment, he no longer needed to disguise himself. Order the Manta Mountain Road to sever ties with the Tang, Su Shiji commanded. The Manta Mountain Road referred to Goguryeo, which had long been under his control. What is the situation in Lingnan? Su Shiji inquired. In Lingnan, Shueguan wore a conflicted expression. Half of Lingnan is under heavy snow, while the other half only experiences light snowfall. Your Majesty, let us take action. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, spoke an official. Shueguan maintained an impassive expression, inwardly cursing the foolishness of these individuals. What if the rebellion fails? No one knows the current circumstances of Cheng Chimo. Who can guarantee that he does not possess a hidden card? If Cheng Chimo still commands an army, who would dare confront him? Gansu controls the military industry. Fufeng oversees trade, Liaodong manages medicinal herbs, and we of Lingnan govern sugar. Now, Gansu and Fufeng have been buried under heavy snow, leaving only Liaodong's situation uncertain. A divine opportunity indeed, the official continued. Shueguan remained silent, and left with his hands behind his back. In the rear garden of the government office, Shueguan approached the bald elder. Master, what is your perspective on the current situation? He inquired. The imperial star dims. It is time to act, replied the bald elder. Are you certain, master? Is the star referring to Wu Zetian or Qing Chimo? Shueguan pressed further. The elder paused, his face flushing. Cough, cough. It is prudent to remain cautious for the time being, he said. He could perceive the imperial star, but could not discern who it represented. The imperial star was indeed dim, yet the elder could not identify whose light had faded. Shueguan understood the elder's penchant for nonsensical chatter. Was there truly an imperial star? The Tang dynasty had relinquished power long ago. What imperial authority remained? I intend to wage war against the Nanzhao kingdom, Shueguan declared, knowing it had long been a thorn in the side of the Tang dynasty that needed to be removed. The bald elder looked at him in confusion. Master, do you not comprehend? As long as Chung Chumo lives, all efforts are in vain. Whoever rebels is mad. I have resolved to seize this opportunity to conquer the Nanzhao kingdom and secure a pathway for the Tang's southern expansion, Shuiguan stated. The elder remained silent. The apprentice was correct. As long as Chung Chumo lived, anyone who rebelled would be courting death. Soldiers might confront any figure or army of the Tang dynasty, but they would not dare face Chung Chumo. At that moment, Chung Chumo had arrived in the western frontier, gazing upon the land with a hearty laugh. The Tang dynasty still possesses a pure land, he exclaimed. The western frontier had not been buried under snow. Chapter 370. The pure land of the western frontier here. Only a thin layer of snow covered the ground, with green blades of grass peeking through. Princess Chizuan cheered and ran across the snow, while Chung Chumo watched with a smile. Stay right there, came a booming voice. Princess Chizuan froze in place, her face paling as a sunburnt man riding a yak galloped towards her. He reined in the yak before her, causing her to tremble in fear. On the verge of tears. Are you blind? Can't you see I'm a meow? If you weren't a woman, I'd have beaten you to tears already. The man exclaimed. Wah, wah, Princess Chizuan cried, dashing behind Chung Chumo for safety. The man's face darkened, realizing there was a helper present. Dismounting, he approached Chung Chumo. He began. But his voice was cut off as if a hand had grasped his throat. Chung Chumo looked up, smiling at the man. The soldier fell to one knee, tears streaming down his face. Soldier of the Tianyuan Left Guard, 8th Camp, 3rd Platoon, at your service, your majesty, he declared with a powerful voice. Rise, Chung Chumo commanded. The man stood, gazing at Chung Chumo with excitement. How about you come to my home? We have a brick house, he boasted. Haha, excellent, Chung Chumo replied, patting the man's shoulder. Upon arriving at the man's home, a woman emerged, her excitement palpable upon seeing Chung Chumo. She bowed deeply. Greetings, your majesty, she said. Having met him in Ryu City. Quickly prepare a meal. The majesty will dine at our home, the man urged. The woman happily went to prepare the food. They had once been slaves, but now they owned their land, cattle, and sheep. Princess Chizuan assisted in the preparations. Soon, lamb was cooked, and a chicken was stewed. 2 children, around 5 years old, stood at the door, eyeing the adults with drooling anticipation. Chung Chumo beckoned them over. Come here, he said. The children, unafraid, approached him. Chung Chumo gently ruffled their hair. Come, join me for a meal, he invited. The children looked to the man, who glared back. His ability to sit at the table was already a sign of the majesty's benevolence. How could the children dare to join? Chung Chumo shot the man a stern look. And as the man prepared to scold the children, he quickly swallowed his words, his face reddening. Come, or you shall see how I deal with mischief, the man warned. The children joyfully climbed onto the table to eat. Princess Chizuan helped them with their food, her face radiating affection. She had no children of her own. After the meal, the woman led Princess Chizuan and Chung Chumo to a room. They had 5 large tiled rooms. One stored firewood, another housed calves and lambs, which were too small to be outside due to danger. One room was for the family, another served as a kitchen, leaving just one room available. The woman spread out the bedding. Sister, you shall stay with the majesty in this room. I have heated the kong, and it is quite warm. The bedding is all new, she said, then bowed to Chung Chumo before departing. Princess Chizuan sat on the edge of the kong, smiling wryly. She had once been a princess of Tubo, yet the common folk did not recognize her. They, however, recognized Chung Chumo. It was a sorrowful reflection, truly. To win the hearts of the people is to win the world. Chung Chumo lay on the bed, feeling warm. Princess Chizuan glanced at him. It is not unjust to lose, she remarked. Chung Chumo smiled, aware of her inner turmoil. He resolved to help her find peace. Do you know why Songzan died? He asked. Mentioning Songzan caused a tremor in Princess Chizuan's heart. Before meeting Chung Chumo, Songzan had been her hero. After meeting Chung Chumo, he had become her true hero. Initially, she clung to Empress Changsan, unwilling to marry Songzan, but ultimately, she had wed him. If Songzan had not died, how would Tubo fare today? Chung Chumo queried. It would be the same, Princess Chizuan replied. Chung Chumo shook his head. It would not be the same. If Songzan were alive, many would seize this opportunity to re-establish the Tubo dynasty. Do you believe it? Chung Chumo asserted. Princess Chizuan fell silent. She believed it. This heavy snowfall was indeed a rare opportunity, and those individuals would not let it slip away. Regardless of Songzan's willingness, they would drape the dragon robe upon him. Mainyang once told me, Songzan must die. The Tang cannot allow any upheaval in Tubo, not even a little, Princess Chizuan confessed. After so many years, she had come to understand that some matters truly lay beyond one's control. Princess Chizuan removed her shoes and lay down beside Chung Chumo. Do you like me? She asked. What do you think? Chung Chumo replied with a smile. Princess Chizuan gazed affectionately at Chung Chumo. Mainyang said you like me, she remarked. Chung Chumo smiled but refrained from responding. Affection, when it flows naturally, requires no words. Expressing it often alters its essence. Chung Chumo wrapped his arms around Princess Chizuan. It flows naturally, he said. The princess's cheeks flushed like a ripe apple as she nodded gently. Yes, it has arrived. Her voice was as soft as a whisper. Chung Chumo swore he had no ulterior motives. Princess Chizuan stood, extinguishing the lamp, and slipped under the covers after shedding her garments. Chung Chumo followed suit, lying on the pillow while the princess nestled beneath the blankets. In the morning, Cheng Chumo opened his eyes to find Princess Chizuan resting on him. Her little face blushing bright red. She slid off him and lay beside him. Wait a moment, let me tie my hair, she said. Cheng Chumo chuckled inwardly, recalling how Li Lizzie used to complain when he accidentally pressed down on her hair. Such is the innocence of youth, he mused. Princess Chizuan swiftly gathered her hair, displaying the maturity of a young woman. The meal is ready, when shall we eat? A woman called from outside. We will be out shortly, replied Princess Chizuan, pulling Cheng Chumo to help him dress. They quickly donned their clothes, and the woman chuckled as she observed Princess Chizuan's gait, which swayed in a manner she was blissfully unaware of. Thank goodness this is Tang Dynasty. Otherwise, in modern times, such a walk out of a hotel would invite speculation, she thought. After the meal, Cheng Chumo smiled and said, May you enjoy your life. We must take our leave. The stout man wished to accompany Cheng Chumo, and his wife did not object. Cheng Chumo shook his head. You have built a wonderful life. Cherish it. I shall visit again. The man sighed, knowing he must heed Cheng Chumo's words. Everyone in Tianyuan listened to him, even if it meant their demise. As Cheng Chumo and Princess Chizuan departed the stout man's home, she clung to his arm, almost wanting to hang on to him. Where are we going? She asked. Back to the villa. They will come looking for me, replied Cheng Chumo. Days later, they returned to Gansu, but their spirits grew heavy upon entering the region, the icy weather casting a pall over their hearts. Cheng Chumo sought out the ice cart, while Princess Chizuan sat atop it, beaming at him. He smiled back, pulling the cart toward the villa. Upon their return, Princess Chizuan joyfully dashed to her room, reveling in the comfort of the villa. Cheng Chumo retrieved a dragon banner from the cupboard and hung it at the entrance. That afternoon, Hantu arrived. I pay my respects, my lord, he said, kneeling on one knee. Cheng Chumo assisted Hantu to his feet, gratified that Hantu would never disappoint him. Come inside, Cheng Chumo invited, but Hantu hesitated, knowing he was not permitted within the villa. Do you wish to freeze outside? Join me for hot pot and a drink, Cheng Chumo urged. After a moment's contemplation, Hantu followed him inside. Inside, Princess Chizuan had prepared hot pot and wine. Seeing Hantu, she felt a pang of disappointment. Their world of two was disrupted. Hantu bowed to her, saying, Greetings, my lady. He understood the situation immediately. Princess Chizuan, delighted by the title of my lady, felt her earlier annoyance dissipate. Hantu, there is no need for formality. Sit and enjoy the hot pot with us, she insisted. Hantu obliged. Just as Cheng Chumo settled down to eat, the door swung open, and 300 Special Forces soldiers filed in. My lord, we can no longer stay outside. Let us share the villa and enjoy hot pot together to keep warm, the captain stated. Cheng Chumo beamed with amusement. Princess Chizuan stood in front of the soldiers, declaring, There are too many of you. You shall not eat. The captain saluted, Greetings, my lady. The soldiers echoed him in unison. Princess Chizuan, eagerly awaiting this acknowledgement, quickly changed her demeanor. You have worked hard. Please, take a seat. I will prepare food for you, she said. Cheng Chumo swiftly intervened, knowing that preparing hot pot for over 300 people would be exhausting. Let them serve themselves. We shall enjoy our own meal, he suggested. Princess Chizuan stuck out her tongue, realizing she had been momentarily overwhelmed by the title of my lady. The soldiers busied themselves gathering copper pots, and soon the villa was filled with laughter and joy. Rest assured, my lord, the ladies have retreated to a paradise, with the exit blocked by heavy snow. They will not emerge anytime soon, Hantu reported, having escorted the ladies to the safe haven before hurrying back. Cheng Chumo nodded, relieved. How many drinks have you had? One soldier inquired. Cheng Chumo's expression darkened. He knew these ruffians would insist on tallying their drinks. Eat quickly, he urged. Princess Chizuan blushed and nodded, initially thinking Cheng Chumo intended something else. His frown deepened. She too was a bit of a ruffian. After hastily finishing their meal, Cheng Chumo ascended to the top floor, with Princess Chizuan trailing behind. Soon, raucous shouting erupted from downstairs. It was evident that the soldiers were embroiled in a drunken squabble over who had consumed more. Their manners were appalling. Such is their nature, Cheng Chumo remarked. Princess Chizuan listened intently, stifling her giggles as she clutched her stomach. Cheng Chumo lay on the bed, staring at the ceiling. The peaceful days are over, he lamented. Princess Chizuan climbed onto the bed. Surely not, she replied. The Tang dynasty faces calamity. Neighboring nations will surely seize the opportunity, Cheng Chumo asserted. He speaks truthfully. If disasters were manageable, they would not invade, they would offer assistance. Now that the calamity is beyond control, they will surely take advantage, he continued. Princess Chizuan nodded, bewildered. Such matters were beyond her ken. The next morning, Cheng Chumo descended to find the soldiers cleaning their weapons. Their arsenal had transformed. Rifles of all kinds, including submachine guns, were now in their possession. We must head to the Great Stone Kingdom, Cheng Chumo declared, eager to discover the whereabouts of Shui Ringdui. The soldiers acknowledged him, preparing to depart. With no horses available, the icy crust on the snow rendered it impossible for the steeds to traverse. As they glided across the icy expanse towards the grasslands, their speed was remarkable. Not a soul was encountered along the way, nor any livestock. A sense of unease filled the hearts of the travelers. Upon reaching the Great Stone Kingdom, the scene was the same. Not a single person was in sight. After days of searching, they had yet to locate Shui Ringdui. Suddenly, Cheng Chumo's gaze turned towards the Arab Empire, and a throng of individuals approached, numbering in the thousands. Clad in the garb of Arab soldiers, the two groups converged, the Arab soldiers bearing a substantial supply of provisions. The leader stepped forward, declaring, "We are merchants from the Arab Empire, aware of the calamity that has befallen the Tang Empire, and we have come to offer assistance." Cheng Chimo scrutinized the leader, skeptically responding, "You come to aid the Tang?" The leader remained unperturbed, smiling benignly at Cheng Chimo. Han Tu's expression darkened, preparing to strike, but Cheng Chimo stayed his hand. "Hold your horses. Let us assess the situation first," he advised. His intuition proved correct. This group was merely the vanguard, with an army of 200,000 marching 10 miles behind them. This was the reason for their audacity in the presence of the Tang. Cheng Chimo turned to the leader, questioning, "Is this the extent of your assistance?" The leader chuckled, "A gift, though small, carries great sentiment." Suddenly, the snow beneath them began to tremble, fissures appearing in various places. Cheng Chimo glanced into the distance, where a dark mass of humanity advanced from the Arab direction towards the Great Stone Kingdom. The firm snow crust was collapsing underfoot, and the army came to a halt. The leader's expression shifted, followed by a laugh. "Is this all that remains in the Great Stone Kingdom?" Ha ha. His confidence in the impending assault on the Tang was palpable. Cheng Chimo's countenance turned grim. "What is destined to arrive has indeed come. We must eliminate them. Then we shall retreat," he commanded. The special forces opened fire, scattering the thousands in a panic. Han Tu escorted Cheng Chimo as they began to withdraw. "Do not pursue. Retreat," Cheng Chimo instructed. The special forces complied, maneuvering their sleds back. The sound of cannon fire erupted as the Arab forces, witnessing their troops being slain, retaliated. Fortunately, Cheng Chimo and his company retreated swiftly. Following the bombardment, the Arab army was obstructed. Clearing the snow of the Great Stone Kingdom was no simple task. "Fire," Cheng Chimo commanded. The special forces, while retreating, discarded explosive charges to detonate the snow. Within the Arab ranks, the second prince seethed at the sight of the pockmarked snowfield. "Who are they? We must eliminate them," he declared. Without artillery, they could traverse the snow crust. Even if some areas collapsed, it was inconsequential. However, with the explosions, the snow crust became unstable, making passage impossible. They could only clear a path or await the thaw. Given the circumstances, waiting for the snow to melt was impractical. "Order the troops to clear the snow," the second prince commanded. Cheng Chimo reached a secure location, retrieving binoculars to survey the enemy encampment. "Let us engage in some sport," he mused, deciding to eliminate those clearing the path to delay the Arab Empire's entry into the Tang. Chapter 372. Encountering the Fortunate General. Cheng Chimo and his men began to hunt down the soldiers tasked with snow removal, inflicting considerable hardship upon the Arab forces. Ultimately, the Arabs resorted to using artillery to carve a path, compelling Cheng Chimo to retreat. Upon returning to Gansu, he inquired, "Are there any soldiers?" Han Tu shook his head. "Perhaps there are troops in the north," he replied. Cheng Chimo sighed, lamenting that neither Wang Xuanzi nor Su Dingfang could be found. The Tianyuan left guard had disbanded, making it impossible to gather forces in a short time. Meanwhile, the Arab Empire's 200,000 troops had already entered the Great Stone Kingdom, bound to traverse the grasslands to Gansu eventually. "It seems difficult to mobilize northern troops," Cheng Chimo noted. "You are to take the special forces to the western frontier to recruit soldiers. You have 2 months' time," he added. Han Tu acknowledged the order and returned to the villa to set off with the special forces. Princess Chizuan stood at the doorway with Cheng Chimo. "Where are we going?" she inquired. Cheng Chimo smiled. "I shall take you to the grasslands." The princess, bemused, remarked that it was snow-covered, not grassy at all. They quickly gathered their belongings and prepared to depart, intending to travel from the grasslands to Liaodong. As they traversed the snow-laden terrain, the princess grew despondent after 500 miles, eventually proclaiming, "I cannot go on. Woe is me." She clung to Cheng Chimo's back, repeating her lament. "Look ahead," Cheng Chimo urged. The princess raised her eyes to behold numerous sheep, with patches of grass not buried beneath the snow. She cheered onward, from Cheng Chimo's back. As Cheng Chimo continued his steady pace, a group of individuals spotted him approaching on horseback. "Who are you?" the leader demanded. "Humph, summon the Fortunate General," Princess Chizuan retorted. The leader, upon noticing the princess in Cheng Chimo's attire, did not dare to delay and promptly went in search of the Fortunate General. Before long, the Fortunate General arrived on horseback and dismounted hastily upon seeing Cheng Chimo. "I pay my respects to my lord," he said, kneeling on one knee, with others following suit. They internally rejoiced at having refrained from idle chatter, for everyone knew who the Fortunate General's master was, the dreaded Cheng Chimo of the Turks. "Rise. There is no need for such formality," Cheng Chimo responded with a smile. The Fortunate General stood, greeting, "I pay my respects to my lady." Glancing at Princess Chizuan on Cheng Chimo's back, to leave no one behind is the most fundamental principle in human interactions. If you cannot even grasp this, then stay home and do nothing, he advised. The princess's countenance brightened. "No formalities, I desire hot pot," she declared. After journeying over 500 miles, subsisting on rations and snow, she was weary of it all, with hot pot being her favorite dish. The Fortunate General promptly ordered preparations to commence. Once they arrived at the tent, Princess Chizuan finally dismounted from Cheng Chimo's back. Soon, the hot pot was ready. The three of them dined and conversed, during which Cheng Chumo learned how the fortunate general had arrived there. As the snow fell, we walked not following a leader with sheep, but rather the sheep led us. Wherever the sheep went, we followed, he explained. Eventually, we arrived here, where the snow was light. My lord, I raise a toast to you, the fortunate general said. Lifting his cup, Cheng Chumo smiled and raised his cup in return. After the meal, the fortunate general remarked, we have 300,000 men, yet we cannot reach the Great Stone Kingdom. It would take us a year to clear 500 miles of snow. Cheng Chumo fell into silence. He was aware of the situation, yet he could not afford to remain idle. Stand by here, Cheng Chumo instructed. The fortune teller concurred, stating that after a year of searching, one would find nothing even after 500 miles. It would be wiser to remain in place. If the fortune teller could not find anything, neither could the Arab Empire. You all stay put. I shall venture to Liaodong, Cheng Chumo declared. My lord, you cannot go to Liaodong. The Wandishan road has already severed ties with the Tang dynasty, and Li Ji is likely to rebel, the fortune teller said gravely. The princess of Chizuan echoed the concern. Cheng Chumo could only offer a wry smile. Indeed, we face both internal strife and external threats. There is no need for your persuasion. Chaos in Liaodong is absolutely unacceptable, he asserted. Liaodong serves as the medicinal hub of the Tang dynasty and is also a vital grain-producing region. While grain may not be of utmost importance, considering the abundance of fertile lands within the Tang, the challenge lies in feeding a population of millions. It is a simple task for the Tang dynasty to ensure its citizens are well fed. The fortune teller said nothing further and departed to assist Cheng Chumo in preparing war horses. The princess of Chizuan approached Cheng Chumo. Husband, Liaodong is perilous. Li Ji is certainly not to be underestimated, she warned with a serious expression. Cheng Chumo playfully pinched her nose. How do you know this? He asked with a smile. The princess beamed with pride, revealing that she had heard it all from Wu Zetian. She would not disclose that it was someone else who informed her. Aren't I impressive? She exclaimed. Cheng Chumo chuckled inwardly. Is that so? Then explain why Li Ji is not to be taken lightly, he challenged. The princess faltered, her eyes darting around. She could not articulate the reason. He is an old fellow. I have seen him at the Grand Court in Chang'an, she finally replied, purely judging by appearance. Li Ji would forever remain in the shadow of others. Though he possessed the talent to compete for the top position, he lacked the necessary background. Cheng Chumo elaborated on Li Ji's life, explaining that he was inspired by Su Maogong. In his youth, he was a Taoist before joining the Qin Wang's residence. A man of humble beginnings. This was precisely why he could not rival Li Jing, as he lacked connections. He made every effort to compensate for his shortcomings and sought to marry a woman from a noble family. However, the Li family of Longxi suppressed him, and other families hesitated to form alliances due to the Li family's reputation. Later, he attempted to ally himself with the crown prince, Li Chengqian. But the crown prince had no intention of employing him. After Li Shimin's death, Li Ji saw his opportunity arise, yet he remained overshadowed by Cheng Chumo. Following Cheng Chumo's abdication, Li Ji's moment had come with Wang Xuance's ascension. Now was his solitary chance to prove himself. Men like Li Ji no longer feared death. They sought fame and a chance to vindicate themselves. The Tang dynasty had two military deities. One was Li Ji, and the other was Li Jing. This was the essence of Li Ji's lifelong pursuit. Rest early. Tomorrow we shall head to Liaodong, Cheng Chumo advised, to which the princess of Chizuan nodded, her heart heavy with conflicting emotions. Li Ji was indeed that thwarted individual, and the princess wished to assist him. The following morning, the two rode toward Liaodong. The fortune teller proposed sending someone to protect Cheng Chumo, but he declined. If Li Ji wishes to act, no number of guards will suffice. After a month, the pair arrived at the capital of Liaodong. As soon as Cheng Chumo entered the city, he caught the attention of Li Ji. Within the government office, Li Ji smiled bitterly, surprised by Cheng Chumo's arrival. My lord, let us eliminate Cheng Chumo. With his demise, the Tang dynasty shall have no rivals, one military officer suggested. Li Ji, hands clasped behind his back, pondered in silence. My lord, do not hesitate. By taking down Cheng Chumo, the Tang will surely crumble, another officer insisted. Yet Li Ji remained indecisive. Let us present him with a dilemma, allowing Cheng Chumo to experience the plight of the common folk, he proposed. The officers were perplexed, awaiting further instructions from Li Ji. Find a man, and then a woman, have them marry. 3 days later, let the woman accuse the man of assault, Li Ji instructed. The officers erupted in laughter, recognizing the cunning nature of the plan. If Cheng Chumo dealt with the man, he would be branded a criminal in the eyes of the Tang, causing ordinary families to fear marriage. In the presence of noble families, those women would not dare to speak out, fearing for their lives. Ordinary families valued moderation, while noble families were ruthless. Daring to act against them would invite devastation. Not just to one, but to an entire family. After issuing his orders, Li Ji's strategists began to devise their scheme. Cheng Chumo and the princess of Chizuan strolled through the city when an official approached them, bowing deeply. Greetings, your majesty, the official said. Cheng Chumo showed little reaction. While the princess felt a surge of anxiety, they had come secretly, and their presence was uncovered so swiftly. Your majesty, we have a most troublesome case that we are uncertain how to handle. We beseech your majesty to come to the government office, the official continued. Cheng Chumo, hands clasped behind him, regarded the official. It was the first time he had heard such a title, Your Majesty, a rather intriguing appellation. Very well, let us go, he replied. Understanding that this was a challenge set by Li Ji, if Li Ji did not agree, no one would dare proceed. The princess of Chizuan leaned closer and whispered, What do they intend by this? Cheng Chumo chuckled softly. Are you familiar with Chibi Heli? He surrounded Yuzhou, only to have all his men rebel, he remarked loudly, ensuring the official could hear. He fears following the same path as Chibi Heli, aiming to tarnish my reputation, Cheng Chumo added. The princess nodded gently, understanding the implications. The official, feeling a mix of admiration for both Cheng Chumo and Li Ji, proceeded to the government office. Upon arrival, Cheng Chumo took his seat at the head of the table as a man and woman entered the hall. The woman immediately began to weep. Please, my lord, grant me justice. My husband violated my will, dragging me into the chamber against my wishes after our marriage, she sobbed. Cheng Chumo turned to the man. What do you have to say? He inquired. The man gazed at the woman with deep affection. After a long pause, he bowed respectfully to Cheng Chumo. I am willing to take responsibility, he stated. The woman's expression grew complex, for she knew the man loved her dearly. Why not simply give me the cow? That would suffice, she implored, her eyes brimming with tears. The man sighed in resignation. The cow is my parents' lifeline. It is their most cherished possession. If I give it to you, how will they survive? He replied. The woman wept. If you withhold the cow from us, how shall we live? You care for your parents' survival, but what of ours? I am the one who will accompany you through life, she lamented. Let your parents keep the cow. I can work and earn money to buy another, the man suggested. The woman wiped her tears and glared at him. The wealth you possess belongs to our family. What your parents provided is theirs, and these are not the same. Must I utilize my resources to aid your parents in appearing virtuous? Should I express gratitude towards them? The woman said coldly. The man opened his mouth but remained silent, casting a glance towards Cheng Chumo. The commoner admits guilt. This matter has nothing to do with my late wife, the man asserted. Cheng Chumo chuckled softly and rose. Pray, let the gentleman meet his demise, he proclaimed. The officials present looked at Cheng Chumo, perplexed by his declaration. Bring forth the man. He has transgressed against a woman's will, and he shall be executed on the spot, Cheng Chumo ordered. The man stood frozen. Several constables entered, brandishing their blades. The man was slaughtered, collapsing into a pool of blood. Cheng Chumo did not even cast a glance. The debt of nurturing exceeds the heavens. The man deserved death. His possessions returned to his parents, and the woman shall return home to remarry, Cheng Chumo added. The woman stared blankly at Cheng Chumo. Why did you kill my husband? Why did you kill my husband? She screamed in madness. Cheng Chumo cast a detached glance at her, remarking, Indeed, ill-favored individuals often stir trouble. An official rose and approached the woman, striking her with 20 resounding slaps. Impudent! How dare you utter such insolence before the Grand Emperor? The official shouted furiously. No need to strike her. She is sullied, Cheng Chumo remarked. I understand why you sought to accuse your husband. After your marriage, upon consummation, he discovered you were not a maiden, and the old man regretted marrying you. Thus he took the cattle away. Can you contest that? Cheng Chumo continued. You might argue that you helped him bear children, and thus he should treat you well, correct? That such matters should not matter, right? Cheng Chumo further stated. We were merely betrothed. We were not yet married, the woman retorted. Huh, you speak rightly. Thus his death is a fitting end for him. As for you, I do not wish to punish you. You would tarnish the laws of the Tang dynasty, Cheng Chumo replied. Taking the hand of Princess Chizuan, he departed. The onlookers outside stood in a daze, staring at the deceased man and the bewildered woman. Pray, let the gentleman meet his demise, someone murmured. He deserved to die. An elderly man with a cane stated. A broom is for sweeping, a ladle for holding water. This man was foolish and deserved execution, the elder proclaimed. He then turned to the woman. She disregards her duties as a wife. She deserves to drown, the elder declared. Cheng Chumo chuckled softly. He led Princess Chizuan to the courtyard of the government office. Why commit murder? The princess inquired. I shall not allow their affairs to tarnish the entirety of the Tang dynasty. The sycophant must die, Cheng Chumo replied. Princess Chizuan nodded, still unable to comprehend Cheng Chumo's motives for killing. The case is quite simple. The man's parents could simply return the cattle to her, Princess Chizuan remarked. Born into privilege, she could not grasp the significance of a mere cow. Cheng Chumo did not elaborate. This is not merely a matter of cattle. Today, if one dares to accuse their husband over a cow, tomorrow they will dare to rebel against the court due to dissatisfaction. What worth does such a person have in living? A waste of air. The man's body was returned home, where his parents wept inconsolably upon seeing the corpse. The woman was forcibly thrown into the river, weighed down by a large stone. Her parents knelt by the river, wailing. Several constables approached, brandishing their swords. The woman's parents were executed, their bodies discarded into the river. By the Lord's decree, the family shall be exterminated, declared a constable. The constables complied, arriving at the woman's home, and without inquiry, proceeded to kill. Soon, everything was cleared away. That day, the government office announced that Cheng Chumo and Princess Chizuan had impersonated the Grand Emperor. Boldly daring to impersonate the Grand Emperor, seize them, an official exclaimed, trembling. Cheng Chumo smiled benignly at the official. Let us go, he said to Princess Chizuan. The two were not imprisoned, but rather confined within the garden of the government office. For the dignity of the emperor must not be tarnished, and the officials dared not place Cheng Chumo in jail. Chapter 374. Princess Chizuan faces no rivals. Cheng Chumo and Princess Chizuan settled in the garden of the government office. The princess's expression was grim, having not anticipated such a turn of events. Do not panic. This is merely the beginning, Cheng Chumo said with a smile. The princess, sulking, sat upon a stone bench. Why are you so unperturbed? How shall we escape? Princess Chizuan asked. Cheng Chumo smiled but remained silent. Li Ji was exceedingly cautious. The slander against Cheng Chumo was merely the onset. A haughty woman strode into the garden. Step aside. Who dares to block me? She coldly admonished the guarding soldiers. This woman was the one who had been verbally assaulted by the widow. Cheng Chumo was taken aback to find she had not perished. The soldiers dared not retort nor permit her entry. I am a guest of Li Ji. Do you wish to die? The woman declared. The soldiers, heads bowed, felt humiliated. Let her in, Cheng Chumo instructed. The soldiers glanced at Cheng Chumo, silently grateful. Too intimidated to meet his gaze. The woman, brimming with arrogance, sauntered into the garden, greeted by Cheng Chumo's icy smile. Huh, is this not the city-slaying general? Why do you not emerge to slay the city? The woman taunted. Who do you refer to as a widow-faced? Princess Chizuan rose to vehemently scold. The woman's face flushed with anger, and years of pent-up grievances erupted. You shameless wretch. The woman spat. Cheng Chumo observed the unfolding drama. Few could engage in a verbal spar with Princess Chizuan, earning his admiration. Unsurprisingly, the woman found herself at a loss for words in her retort against Princess Chizuan's mounting fervor. The princess, growing more animated, placed her hands on her hips. The woman let out a shriek and lunged at Princess Chizuan, resorting to physical confrontation. Just as the woman reached Princess Chizuan, before she could strike, the princess seized her hair and delivered a kick to her knee. With claws outstretched, she began to scratch at the woman's face. The woman cried out in agony. Princess Chizuan then began to slap her mercilessly. Today, I shall ensure you have no face to show to the world, she declared. After delivering dozens of resounding slaps, the woman crumpled to the ground, howling. Princess Chizuan grasped her hair and continued to claw at her. The distant soldiers turned their heads away. Cursing the woman for her past arrogance, she now lay in a pitiful state. Princess Chizuan, not yet satisfied, approached Cheng Chumo, removed his shoes, and wielded them against the woman's face. When exhaustion set in, she resorted to scratching again. Annoyed by the woman's wailing, Princess Chizuan tossed aside the shoes and stuffed a handful of dirt into the woman's mouth. The woman attempted to spit out the dirt, but Princess Chizuan picked up the shoe and resumed striking her mouth. Half an hour later, the woman lay on the ground, eyes rolled back, convulsing. Seated upon the stone bench, Princess Chizuan sipped tea from the stone table, declaring triumphantly, Dare to bully my husband, and I shall claw you to death. Cheng Chumo silently admired her. She was truly formidable. The soldiers entered and dragged the bird away, leaving only Cheng Chumo and Princess Chizuan in the back garden. Will she come back tomorrow? Princess Chizuan inquired. It seemed that the earlier confrontation had not been sufficient. Cheng Chumo remained silent. After such a beating, who would dare return? Unless that bird was a fool. Go wash up. You're covered in dirt, Cheng Chumo said. Princess Chizuan nodded and rose, taking Cheng Chumo's hand to wash. In this unfamiliar place, she was reluctant to bathe alone. Cheng Chumo was responsible for heating the water. Before long, Princess Chizuan emerged clean. After changing the water, Cheng Chumo took his turn. A night passed without conversation. In the morning, the two rose early. Princess Chizuan clung to Cheng Chumo's arm as they strolled leisurely in the back garden. Have you heard? The Japanese are dumping garbage into the sea. They really deserve to be annihilated. A few soldiers murmured at the gate. Cheng Chumo frowned at their words. Bring Li Ji to see me, Cheng Chumo instructed a soldier, who promptly left. Li Ji did not arrive. The bird returned. Cheng Chumo wished to spare Princess Chizuan from any further idle chatter with such a person and kicked the bird away. It fell to the ground, spitting out a mouthful of blood, gazing at Cheng Chumo in terror. Just then, Li Ji walked by, his brow slightly furrowed. What a disgrace. He scoffed as he entered the back garden. Upon seeing Cheng Chumo, he clasped his fists. How have you been, Your Majesty? Li Ji asked with a smile. Cheng Chumo, having lost his patience, dismissed small talk. What do you intend to do about Japan polluting the sea? He pressed. Li Ji chuckled, but did not respond directly. Your Majesty has abdicated. Why concern yourself with their affairs? Li Ji replied. Cheng Chumo's gaze turned icy. You don't truly believe you can succeed in rebellion, do you? He challenged. Li Ji merely smiled without answering. Cheng Chumo turned away, realizing that Li Ji was beyond redemption. Li Ji, with a slight frown, departed. 3 days later, Air Nio returned to Sanshampu with the naval forces. As soon as they disembarked, they were intercepted by Fu Jiang. Fu Jiang informed Air Nio that Cheng Chumo was trapped in Liaodong. Enraged, Air Nio ordered the Marine Brigade to assemble. The Marine Brigade now boasted 50,000 men, equipped with the most advanced technology in all of Tang. That same day, the 50,000 Marines headed straight for Liaodong. Upon receiving the news, Li Ji was astonished. He had not expected Air Nio's swift return. Arriving at the villa, he sought Cheng Chumo, but Cheng Chumo had long since vanished. Li Ji's expression darkened. He could not comprehend how Ching Chumo had escaped right under his nose. In a small town, the county magistrate had been replaced. The son of the former magistrate followed Ching Chumo closely, bowing and scraping. "Your Majesty, rest assured, I am far more capable than my father," he declared. Ching Chumo smiled faintly. Upon returning to the widow's shop, everything remained unchanged. The magistrate had renovated it more than once. "Your Majesty, look here, I have made several repairs. Just waiting for your return to stay a few days," the magistrate said. Ching Chumo remained silent, and the magistrate, understanding the hint, left. Ching Chumo sat at the stall, while Princess Chizuan took a seat opposite him. "Accompany me for a walk," Ching Chumo said. Princess Chizuan nodded eagerly, surprised to discover Ching Chumo had a backup plan. Some of the soldiers guarding them were townsfolk. They eliminated the others and fled with Ching Chumo under the cover of night. Ching Chumo had not anticipated this, nor had Li Ji in his wildest dreams. The two made their way outside the city, strolling along the Yalu River. A silly fawn was drinking at the riverbank. Seeing Ching Chumo, it bounded over playfully. Ching Chumo gently patted the fawn's head. The fawn stared at Ching Chumo, who took out a piece of cake from his pocket. This time, the fawn had learned its lesson and snatched it before dashing away, remembering the beating it had received for failing to secure food previously. Ching Chumo chuckled at its antics. Princess Chizuan found the scene amusing. "Look, my lord," she pointed at the river, where thousands of large ships were sailing. Soon, all the ships docked, and Ernyo disembarked, kneeling before Ching Chumo. "Greetings, my lord," Ernyo exclaimed excitedly. Ching Chumo helped him up and surveyed the neatly arranged marine brigade. "Well done," Ching Chumo remarked. "You will go to Japan and eliminate them," he commanded. Ernyo appeared troubled. It was not that he was unwilling, but rather that he could not. Recently, the seas had been tumultuous, and the warships were unlikely to make it through. Ching Chumo, unfamiliar with such matters, chose not to inquire further. Then we shall see just how fierce the storms are. Chapter 375. Su Maogong's unfortunate in Ching Chumo took Princess Chizuan aboard the ship. Compared to Japan, Li Ji seemed less significant. "Let us venture out to sea," Ching Chumo suggested. Ernyo complied. The flagship issued commands, and all the warships turned about. Half a month later, Ching Chumo arrived at the Bohai Sea. He took out a telescope to gaze into the distance. The sea appeared deceptively calm, yet beneath the surface, it was anything but. The waves resembled a blue cloth fluttering in the wind. Rare moments of tranquility were fleeting. Ernyo pointed ahead. "My lord, look over there. Not a single large fish is leaping from the water, which is quite abnormal," he noted. Ching Chumo looked in the direction Ernyo indicated, and indeed saw no fish breaching the surface. This was a harbinger of a typhoon. "I understand now. Once the typhoon passes, your sole task will be to eradicate Japan," Ching Chumo declared. Ernyo nodded in agreement. The fleet turned back. In Liaodong Prefecture, Li Ji's expression was grim. He had received word that the Wanda Mountain Road had once again submitted to Tang, and Ching Chumo had executed many people. Hundreds of officials had lost their heads, and everyone in Wanda Mountain was on edge. The military leaders appeared grave. They had not anticipated such developments. There was no need to speculate on how Ching Chumo would deal with them. "My lord, we should retreat north," one military leader suggested. They did not believe the Liaodong troops could match the might of the Tang Navy. The Navy's accomplishments were not to be underestimated. As for the Liaodong army, while they appeared formidable, they were, in reality, quite average. Most soldiers were former troops of the Yuji kingdom, which explained the audacity of the bird. Li Ji's expression remained unchanged. "You may leave. I have my own methods," he asserted. All present left the hall, leaving Li Ji with a bitter countenance, devoid of the previous tranquility. The bird entered. Li Ji frowned. "Woe is me, General, let us seek aid from the Liao region. They will surely assist us. Ching Chumo will undoubtedly kill me." The bird wailed. Li Ji sighed internally. Would they dare? He cast a complex gaze at the bird. Last time, Ching Chumo did not entirely eradicate their clan. This time, no one can save them. "You may go first," Li Ji said. After the chicken departed, Li Ji sat down in despair. He truly felt aged, lacking the courage to eliminate Ching Chumo. The outcome was his own demise at Ching Chumo's hands. He understood that the tide had turned. No army in Liaodong dared confront the divine general. Li Ji's predictions were not mistaken. The common folk scattered in terror upon learning that General Ching Chumo was approaching with his troops. Within the military camp, soldiers had already fled. No matter how the generals attempted to maintain order, it proved futile, as some had taken their families and deserted. With the generals gone, one could only imagine the fate of the ordinary soldiers. The once thriving state city had become a ghost town. As Li Ji traversed the streets, a few generals followed closely behind. Upon reaching the city walls, the naval infantry had already encircled the area. Li Ji gazed at the naval forces with a bitter smile. He had believed that after this calamity, the Tang dynasty would not retain a complete army. Little did he expect that he could not even contend with a single naval infantry unit. Ching Chumo arrived on horseback at the city gate. Observing Ching Chumo, Li Ji's expression was complex. "You could have ended well. Your current state is not to be blamed on anyone," Ching Chumo remarked with a calm demeanor. Li Ji remained silent, recognizing that words were superfluous. The moment he imprisoned Ching Chumo, he had prepared for the worst. "Ha ha ha. I, Su Shiji, ultimately did not achieve anything." Li Ji laughed heartily, leaping from the city wall. Ching Chumo sighed inwardly. He wished for the old minister to have a peaceful end, yet it was truly unattainable. The army entered the city. The clan has been annihilated, Cheng Chimo stated. It must be Ernyo. Upon leaving the government office, Princess Chizuan poured a cup of tea for Cheng Chimo, unsure how to console him. She recognized his discontent and felt helpless. Few could comprehend Cheng Chimo's feelings. Li Ji was a man who deserved a peaceful end, but this heavy snow had inflated his ambition, leading him down an irreversible path. Declare to the outside world that Li Ji has passed away peacefully, Cheng Chimo commanded. This decision stemmed from two reasons. It would prevent the soldiers who fled from being labeled as traitors and maintain order in Liaodong. Moreover, Cheng Chimo did not wish to harm Li Ji's family. Once the news spread, the soldiers erupted in joy, believing themselves safe from doom. Cheng Chimo too wished for a different outcome, but the circumstances left him no choice regarding those individuals. In Liaodong, 200,000 soldiers gathered once more. Cheng Chimo looked towards Ernyo. Can you command 200,000 men? He inquired. Ernyo shook his head vigorously. Commanding 50,000 was already his limit. The thought of 200,000 was unfathomable. My lord, I cannot lead 200,000, Ernyo insisted. Fu Jiang, standing nearby, stared at Cheng Chimo with a reddened face. Cheng Chimo found it amusing and turned to Fu Jiang. Are you unwell? He asked. Fu Jiang could no longer contain himself and knelt on one knee. I can lead 200,000 troops, he declared. Cheng Chimo smiled knowingly. Fu Jiang was indeed capable of commanding 200,000. His reputation was not mere flattery. It was backed by genuine fortune. At times, Cheng Chimo found himself at a loss with him. Very well, I entrust 200,000 men in Liaodong to you, Cheng Chimo said. Fu Jiang rejoiced. Your son pays respects to his father. Upon hearing this voice, Cheng Chimo's expression darkened. The speaker was none other than Li Yu, now a middle-aged man clad in armor. Having just aided the people amidst the heavy snow in Yuzhou, Li Yu was filled with excitement. He knelt on one knee, lifting his head to gaze at Cheng Chimo. Cheng Chimo contemplated offering a few words, but decided against it. After all, Li Yu had addressed him this way for quite some time. There was no need to dwell on such matters. Rise and speak, Cheng Chimo instructed. Li Yu stood up, and they conversed for a long while. Li Yu took his troops to clear the railway towards Yuzhou. Once the railway was operational, they could transport troops and provisions. Fu Jiang led men towards Gansu, with Cheng Chimo demanding that he clear the area before the Arab forces arrived. The task was daunting, and both men accepted their orders before departing. Cheng Chimo turned to Ernyo. In the spirit of reciprocity, you shall go by land and sea to Arabia and confront them, he commanded. Ernyo complied. Given the tumultuous seas, they could only travel along the coast. Everyone departed, and Cheng Chimo left the state office with Princess Chizuan, who wore an unwilling expression. Why can't I rest for a few days? She pouted. Cheng Chimo was at a loss for words. After patiently explaining for half an hour, Princess Chizuan was finally satisfied. With matters in Liaodong resolved, they needed to head to Lingnan. Lingnan must not descend into chaos. Its status was as critical as that of Liaodong. As long as the borders of the Tang dynasty remained stable, the dynasty would encounter no significant issues. Given a moment to breathe, the Tang would swiftly regain its vitality. Princess Chizuan nodded, albeit with a semblance of confusion. Upon reaching the territory of Lingnan, Princess Chizuan was beset by mosquitoes. Hiding in the carriage proved futile, as swarms of mosquitoes surrounded it. Wah, I want to return to Gansu. I will never come back to Lingnan again, she cried, unable to open her eyes due to the swelling bites. Cheng Chimo took the time to wash her wounds with clean water and soap. At the Lingnan state office, an official announced, the Nanzhao kingdom has sent envoys. Shui Guan's eyes widened. Refuse them. Order the front lines to launch a full-scale assault. If you do not conquer the Nanzhao kingdom before the emperor arrives, I will deal with you, he declared. Chapter 376. Returning to Lingnan, Shui Guan lifted the teacup from his desk and took a sip, excitement gleaming in his eyes. Another divine general of the Tang has fallen. Haha, throughout the Tang, none can compare to me. He could not help but laugh heartily, having anticipated Li Ji's failure, yet the outcome was more disastrous than he imagined. He had been eliminated before even reaching Shanhaiguan. The officials kept their heads down, fearing to speak, silently relieved they had not rebelled. Will the emperor come to Lingnan? One official inquired. Shui Guan maintained his smile. If I am not mistaken, the emperor has already arrived, he replied. The officials remained silent. Had Li Ji survived, they would have urged Shui Guan to capture Cheng Chimo. Now, they dared not entertain such thoughts. Shui Guan scanned the room, a bitter smile forming within. The once fierce land had been subdued into meekness by Cheng Chimo's presence. Prepare to welcome them, Shui Guan instructed. The officials complied and departed when a bald elder entered. Master, Shui Guan rose to greet him. The elder's expression was grave. How do you ensure the safety of his majesty? He asked. Shui Guan was puzzled. Who would dare act against Cheng Chimo? He questioned. Such complacency will lead to disaster, the elder warned. Shui Guan scratched his head, utterly perplexed as to who would dare to lay hands on Cheng Chimo. The bald elder cast a disapproving glance at Shui Guan. Chao Wang, he uttered. Shui Guan's complexion shifted dramatically. How could he have forgotten her? Chao Wang, the brother of Li Shimin, the most unremarkable figure in the Tang dynasty, Li Yuanji. His appearance was grotesque. In his youth, Li Yuan contemplated sending him away, doubting his legitimacy due to his lack of attractiveness. No one favored Li Yuanji, save for Li Shimin, who bore him with some affection. Following Li Yuan's rebellion, Li Shimin took Li Yuanji along on his campaigns, assigning him the task of cleaning the battlefield, a position fraught with numerous benefits and boundless wealth. Only those whom Li Shimin trusted implicitly could undertake such a role. Yet, Li Yuanji was ungrateful, perceiving this assignment as a slight against him. He squandered the immense fortune amassed by Li Shimin over more than a decade of warfare, joining forces with his elder brother, Li Jianqing. This nearly drove Li Shimin to despair. It was the reason behind his financial struggles. The ministers were aware of Li Shimin's wealth, yet they were oblivious to the fact that it lay in Li Yuanji's hands. After the Xuanwu Gate incident, Li Shimin eliminated Li Yuanji, rushing into his residence to reclaim the lost riches, only to find nothing. He then forcibly took Chao Wangfei, hoping to extract the location of the treasure from her. However, she remained tight-lipped. Following the announcement of Empress Changxuan's death, Li Shimin resolved to make Chao Wangfei his empress to coax the treasure from her, but Wei Zheng intervened, leading to the failure of Li Shimin's plan, leaving him in ignorance of the treasure's whereabouts until his demise. After Cheng Chumo seized power, Chao Wangfei faded from attention, leaving the palace under circumstances unknown. During those years, Chao Wang, Li Yuanji, allied with his elder brother, Li Jianqing, and gained considerable influence, controlling many hidden forces. Those from the former Crown Prince's faction regarded Chao Wang with the same reverence as they did Li Jianqing. The Crown Princess, Zheng Guanying, was remarkably unassuming, harboring no ulterior motives. Following Wu Zetian's ascension, she aligned herself with her, and those wishing to exploit the Crown Prince's name dared not approach Zheng Guanying. In a nameless location in Lingnan, Cheng Chumo walked along the lakeside, carrying the Princess of Chizuan on his back. She wept, having been tormented by mosquitoes. Just moments ago, one had bitten her, and she could not help but scratch. I'm doomed. I've been bitten by a mosquito, she lamented, wiping her tears. Cheng Chumo felt a pang of sympathy, surprised by how attractively she drew the attention of the insects. They had initially traveled by carriage, but the horse had perished along the way, forcing him to carry her. My lord, I shall never return again, she cried. Just hold on a little longer, Cheng Chumo urged. Suddenly, she screamed as another mosquito bit her. Ahead, a carriage appeared, and the princess excitedly pointed. My lord, look, a carriage. Cheng Chumo raised his gaze to the approaching vehicle, furrowing his brow in caution. The princess, oblivious to danger, waved her hand enthusiastically. The carriage halted 3 meters before them, and a woman descended, clad in hanfu and wearing a veil. She evoked a sense of familiarity in Cheng Chumo. Your Majesty, she said, slightly bowing. Cheng Chumo scrutinized the woman, and the princess gasped in recognition. Chao Fei, she exclaimed. Chao Fei smiled and removed her veil. Sister Chizuan, she greeted. The princess jumped from Cheng Chumo's back and grasped Chao Fei's hand. Let us hurry into the carriage. The mosquitoes are relentless, she urged, nervous. Chao Fei, feeling somewhat rude, was compelled to follow her into the carriage, turning to Cheng Chumo with an apologetic smile. He nodded in acknowledgement. Once inside, an elderly maid resumed their journey. Where are you heading, Your Majesty? Chao Fei inquired. To the Lingnan Prefecture, Cheng Chumo replied, revealing no secrecy about their destination. And you, Chao Fei? The princess asked, delighted to find a place devoid of mosquitoes. I shall also go to the prefecture, Chao Fei answered, glancing at Cheng Chumo. If I were to seek your aid, would you assist me? She softly asked, casting a fleeting glance outside the carriage. Cheng Chumo understood her unspoken concern and swiftly produced a copper coin, tossing it with precision, causing the elderly maid to tumble from the carriage. The vehicle came to a halt. Why do you say that? Cheng Chumo queried. Chao Fei opened the glass window to gaze at the maid lying in a pool of blood, releasing a sigh of relief and casting a grateful glance at Cheng Chumo. This person is malevolent. She intended to abduct me, believing I was unaware, Chao Fei explained. Ah, it seems some are courting death, Cheng Chumo remarked with a smirk. Chao Fei chuckled softly. She had never regarded Cheng Chumo as an enemy. In fact, he could be considered her benefactor, for without him, she would have languished in the palace until her death. Why did they want to capture you? Cheng Chumo pressed. Chao Fei's gaze faltered, revealing that there were matters she could not disclose. She had concealed them for a lifetime and intended to keep that secret. Cheng Chumo shook his head, refraining from further inquiry. Sister, just tell me. With my lord by my side, nothing is insurmountable, the princess implored, her curiosity piqued. Why would anyone want to capture a has-been consort? She wondered aloud. Under the relentless questioning of the princess, Chao Fei reluctantly recounted everything, to which the princess listened intently. Cheng Chumo chuckled lightly, displaying indifference. My lord, she claims to possess a wealth of treasures. Why are you not intrigued? The princess remarked. Cheng Chumo offered no response, stepping outside to guide the carriage. Chapter 377. Treasures of Lingnan. The princess regarded Chao Fei, puzzled by Cheng Chumo's lack of interest in the treasures. Do you know how wealthy His Majesty was before he became emperor? Are you aware of the daily income of Fufeng County? Chao Fei smiled, recalling how Li Shimin had once shared this information with her. In the entirety of the Tang dynasty, none could rival Cheng Chumo's wealth, not even the prominent families. Despite their millennia of accumulation, it would not be an exaggeration to say that Cheng Chumo's annual income could sustain a super family. Wow, the princess exclaimed, having spent considerable time alongside Wu Mainyang, who rarely spoke of money. No wonder Mainyang had mentioned wanting to tile the Great Wall. It turned out her lord was indeed exceedingly wealthy. I wish to go to the prefecture too, Qiao Fei added. Qiao Fei smiled, feeling fortunate to have encountered Cheng Chimo. Without him, her fate would have been uncertain. It is certain that she has been exploited, and she herself is uncertain whether she can safeguard her treasure. Sister, do you have children? The princess of Qizuan whispered to concubine Qiao. Tears streamed down concubine Qiao's cheeks. She had once, but they had perished. Realizing her misstep, the princess quickly sought to comfort concubine Qiao, wiping her tears gently. 3 days later, Cheng Chimo arrived at Lingnan Prefecture. Upon entering the city, Shui Guan, accompanied by local officials, welcomed him. Noticing Cheng Chimo hastening in his carriage, Shui Guan hurriedly assisted him in dismounting, pondering the identity of the esteemed individual within the carriage. Concubine Qiao and the princess of Qizuan did not make their appearances. Upon reaching the government office, Shui Guan prepared a banquet. I am no longer an emperor. Let us forego the elaborate formalities, Cheng Chimo remarked, genuinely disinterested in such ostentation. Shui Guan complied, and the officials, understanding his sentiment, discreetly withdrew. Only Cheng Chimo and Shui Guan remained in the grand hall. Are you aware of Li Ji's situation? Cheng Chimo inquired, casting a half-smile at Shui Guan. A shiver ran through Shui Guan. I am not like Li Ji. My heart is solely for the Tang dynasty. I understand that the Nanzhao kingdom is a thorn in your side, and I took it upon myself to lead an army of 300,000 against them. Shui Guan declared, hastily professing his loyalty, not wishing for his life to be forfeit. Cheng Chimo raised his cup, prompting Shui Guan to stand in respect. Your Majesty, please. He insisted. Sit, Cheng Chimo replied. Shui Guan complied, discreetly wiping the cold sweat from his brow. The pressure of conversing with Cheng Chimo was immense. He felt that one wrong word could cost him his head. Conquer the Nanzhao kingdom, and you shall be granted a title, Cheng Chimo declared, draining his cup. Shui Guan, with a sorrowful expression, gazed at him. Being granted a title is no blessing. Those noble families will annihilate anyone who receives such an honor. Many princes have perished over the years. The throne is a curse. Whoever is bestowed a title is doomed. Your Majesty, please spare me, Shui Guan lamented. Cheng Chimo laughed heartily. Shui Guan scratched his head, feeling helpless as he looked at Cheng Chimo, whose striking white hair was particularly noticeable. Shui Guan's eyes reddened. Your Majesty, he said, his voice thick with emotion. Though his time serving Cheng Chimo had been brief, he felt fortunate to be in his company. Had he been under another emperor, he would surely have met his demise. Cheng Chimo had not executed him. Rather, he had given him a jolt of realization. The coveted position of railway supervisor fell into his lap, initially met with fierce opposition from the noble families. They possessed ample evidence to have him executed. Just then, a letter from Cheng Chimo arrived in his hands. Upon learning that Cheng Chimo had written to Shui Guan, the noble families abandoned their pursuit against him. The letter was blank, a mere sheet of paper, yet it had saved his life. From that moment on, Shui Guan was devoted. It is often through adversity that one truly appreciates the warmth of kindness. In that instant, Shui Guan vowed his lifelong loyalty to Cheng Chimo. The railway supervisor was appointed by Cheng Chimo, who ultimately saved Shui Guan. This series of events compelled Shui Guan to yield. Upon learning of it, his master sighed deeply. From that day forth, whenever his master encountered Longuewei, he could not hold his head high. His once proud disciple paled in comparison to another's, reduced to being a mere subordinate. The conquest of the Nanzhao kingdom is merely the beginning. Push further south, Cheng Chimo urged. Shui Guan rose in affirmation. However, your power has grown rather substantial. You must find a way to tarnish your reputation. The Tang dynasty has just emerged from great calamity. Peace will be elusive, Cheng Chimo advised. Shui Guan nodded gravely. Your Majesty, remnants of the former crown prince's faction are re-emerging. You must exercise caution, he cautioned. Cheng Chimo's expression remained unchanged. Indeed, he should be wary of the remnants of the former crown prince's faction, who had yet to be discovered and concealed themselves well. Was all of Li Jinqing's progeny extinguished? Shui Guan inquired softly. Cheng Chimo suddenly recalled someone, Princess Gaoyang. What do you know? Cheng Chimo pressed. I have heard of a man named Li Chang, who recently wrote to me, claiming he has significant matters to discuss in Lingnan, and he promised me wealth and honor, Shui Guan replied. Cheng Chimo considered this carefully. Li Chang, he murmured. Do not alarm the snakes. Let them reveal themselves, and we shall resolve everything at once, he instructed. Shui Guan nodded in agreement. Cheng Chimo rose and returned to the rear courtyard. Upon entering the room, he found the princess of Qizuan conversing with concubine Qiao. As they noticed Cheng Chimo's return, both stood. Is Li Yuanji hiding the treasure in Lingnan? Cheng Chimo asked. Concubine Qiao bit her lip, remaining silent. Sister, just speak. If you refuse, I shall have my husband escort you out, the princess of Qizuan said slyly. Concubine Qiao smiled bitterly. In Lingnan, she finally divulged. She genuinely feared that Cheng Chimo would send her away, as that would be her downfall. Being taken to the palace by Li Shimin would be no disgrace. For no one dared to mock the emperor. However, being controlled by those individuals was far from a simple embarrassment. Cheng Chimo smiled, already devising a plan. You shall accompany concubine Qiao and remain hidden for the time being, he instructed. The princess of Qizuan nodded eagerly, excitement gleaming in her eyes. Who knows who will suffer misfortune this time? That day, many unfamiliar faces appeared throughout the city. These individuals appeared quite ordinary. making them difficult to recognize as they traversed the streets. None of this escaped Shui Guan's scrutiny. Those individuals have entered the city. What shall we do next? He asked. What do you think? Cheng Chumo replied. Shui Guan contemplated before responding. We wait. Cheng Chumo remained silent, patting Shui Guan on the shoulder. Proceed as you see fit. He instructed. In a tavern, a middle-aged man sat in a corner, sipping tea. Several burly men approached and sat at his table. The individual responsible for escorting concubine, Chao, has been killed, one of them reported. How did he die? The middle-aged man inquired. He was shot with a copper coin. The burly man replied. The middle-aged man frowned. A copper coin? Few in the martial world use them as weapons. Only the money elder from the Sanxiao region employs such methods. Can we trace the identity of that person? The middle-aged man asked. The burly men shook their heads. The traces left by the carriage indicate they have entered the city. Send someone to contact Shui Guan, the middle-aged man commanded. As the burly men departed, the middle-aged man ascended to an upper room. How intriguing, he mused. He was none other than Li Chong, rumored to be the son of Li Jianqing. Chapter 378. Military expenses in the government office. Shui Guan approached Cheng Chumo. Someone has already contacted me, inquiring whether concubine Chao has entered the city. How should I respond? He asked. Handle it as you see fit. If you have seen her, say you have, and if not, then deny it, Cheng Chumo instructed. Shui Guan discreetly glanced towards the room behind Cheng Chumo. I understand, said Chen Ming. Cheng Chumo looked at Shui Guan in confusion and asked why he didn't leave. Shui Guan awkwardly rubbed his hands together. Your Majesty requires funds for warfare. As you know, Lingnan is impoverished. Could you possibly allocate some military expenses? He said, bracing himself. He had no choice but to speak the truth. Lingnan truly lacked resources. The toll of warfare is measured in expenses, particularly in protracted conflicts. It is utterly impossible to conquer the Nanzhao kingdom outright. He dared not emulate Cheng Chumo's ruthless tactics against the city, where he had mercilessly slain 70,000 Turks, scaring off even the Turks themselves. Cheng Chumo frowned slightly. To be honest, he was genuinely short on funds at the moment. You go attend to your matters. I shall ponder a solution, he replied. Shui Guan's expression brightened. Cheng Chumo's words signified potential military aid. As long as he received the funds, the timing was inconsequential. Shui Guan believed he could endure for another 6 months. Over the past few years as the railway superintendent, he had amassed considerable wealth. After Shui Guan departed, Cheng Chumo returned to his chamber, where concubine Chao looked at him with a bemused smile. Your Majesty, have you sold me off? Without funds. How do you intend to devise a solution? She remarked. Cheng Chumo's face flushed slightly, but he quickly masked it. Princess Chizuan stood up excitedly. Having witnessed Cheng Chumo blush for the first time, she approached him, tilting her head to gaze up at him. Cheng Chumo, feeling a twinge of guilt, cleared his throat to cover his embarrassment. However, Princess Chizuan was not easily swayed and continued to stare. What are you staring at me for? Cheng Chumo said, attempting to adopt a commanding demeanor. Princess Chizuan circled around him, pinching her chin thoughtfully. Why do you still blush? That shouldn't be the case. I scolded you for several days before, and you never turned a shade. Her voice brimmed with curiosity. Cheng Chumo's face turned an even deeper shade of crimson, this time with genuine anger. Concubine Chao could not help but chuckle. Princess Chizuan approached Concubine Chao. Did you not notice that he blushed just now? She inquired. Concubine Chao nodded with a smile. Cheng Chumo was speechless. It was said that 3 women could form a play, yet with just 2, they were already in such a state. Will you provide the funds or not? He asked, losing patience, wary that Princess Chizuan might devise further antics to tease him. It is not out of the question to assist you. However, I require a child, Concubine Chao stated. Princess Chizuan gasped, staring at Concubine Chao. You. She stammered, unsure of how to express her disbelief at such shamelessness. Do you long for a man so desperately? She continued, her expression darkening. Concubine Chao could not marry Cheng Chumo. She was not virtuous. The women in the palace whispered that Concubine Chao was the most alluring, almost becoming the empress herself. Cheng Chumo listened quietly. He understood the implications of Concubine Chao's words. She did not desire his offspring, but rather a child from the Li family. To leave an heir for the ugly crown prince. The moment she wed the crown prince, she assumed this mission. It could be said that women in ancient times often held such beliefs. Concubine Chao playfully tapped Princess Chizuan's forehead. What are you thinking? At my age? I cannot bear children, she said. Princess Chizuan looked skeptical. Humph, do not think I am unaware of your nature. Do you wish for my husband to accompany you for a night under the guise of ensuring an heir? In truth, it is your own desires that you cannot suppress. She remarked, a cold smile gracing her lips as if she had seen through Concubine Chao. With a sense of resignation, Concubine Chao turned to Cheng Chumo. Is that acceptable? She asked, her eyes filled with pleading. Who? Cheng Chumo inquired. The crown prince, she replied. Cheng Chumo nodded in agreement. The crown prince was of little significance. He was a child of Li Yuan. It was reasonable for Concubine Chao to seek a child from Li Yuan. However, she dared not desire a child from Li Shimin, as it would raise suspicions. Li Yuan's offspring were inconsequential. Those young princes posed no threat. Many were unaware of the crown prince. However, everyone knew of the pavilion of Prince Teng, which he had constructed. Throughout the Tang dynasty, numerous pavilions of Prince Teng existed, still standing today, showcasing his vast wealth. With a stepmother like Concubine Chao, he was undoubtedly affluent. Even if Cheng Chumo were to utilize Concubine Chao's wealth as military expenses, he would not exhaust it all, ensuring she retained a portion. After all, these funds were preserved by her very life. Concubine Chao's face initially lit up with joy, soon followed by tears. The crown prince would have an heir. This heir required no formalities. She merely needed to bow before the crown prince's grave. Concubine Chao was confident he would know. The treasure lay in Gansu, beneath a small hill, where the crown prince had once intended to dig a pit to conceal it. However, due to time constraints, he could only manage to excavate a small hill. Concubine Chao blushed slightly. Initially, she had lied, claiming it was in Lingnan. For many years, she had hinted at the treasure's location in Lingnan. Ah, what a clever ploy of misdirection, Cheng Chumo exclaimed, casting a deep glance at Concubine Chao. Indeed, the women of the palace were not to be underestimated. Princess Chizuan grew more irate, turning her head away from Concubine Chao. Concubine Chao attempted to placate her, but Princess Chizuan remained unyielding, shaking her shoulders in refusal. Cheng Chumo exited the room, realizing that his plan to utilize Concubine Chao's treasure for military expenses had faltered. The treasure was far away in Gansu, currently blanketed in ice and snow, making it impossible to excavate. Suddenly seized by an urge, Cheng Chumo decided to take a stroll through the streets. Although Shui Guan wished to send someone to protect him, Cheng Chumo declined. Strolling alone, he reveled in the local customs of Lingnan. Feeling a bit hungry, he entered a tavern. A plate of peanuts and a jug of wine, Cheng Chumo ordered. The young attendant promptly responded. Soon, he approached with the peanuts, carefully placing them on the table without a hint of negligence. Cheng Chumo's image was too admirable. With a head of white hair and a face that bore the marks of maturity, he had not changed a bit over the years. If one merely gazed at his face, one might mistake him for a man in his 30s. This appearance conveyed an immediate impression of a remarkable figure, one typically associated with extraordinary talents. Please, enjoy, the young attendant said. Cheng Chumo produced a few coins to hand to the attendant. Thank you, he replied. The attendant became even more convinced that Cheng Chumo was a reclusive sage. Here we serve donkey meat. As the saying goes, heavenly dragon meat is akin to earthly donkey meat. Would you care for a pound to try? The young attendant suggested. Very well, bring me a pound. Cheng Chumo responded, handing over a banknote. That is too much, the attendant remarked. Cheng Chumo chuckled, appreciating the young attendant's honesty as he did not attempt to inflate the bill. No change. Keep the extra as a token of gratitude for your recommendation, Cheng Chumo said. The two were overjoyed, bowing in thanks to Cheng Chumo. Go on, he instructed. Chapter 379. The master Cheng Chumo. The young waiter left with a cheerful demeanor, heading to the kitchen to assist Cheng Chumo in slicing donkey meat. In no time, he had prepared thin slices, delicately using chopsticks to place them into a dish. Typically, he would use his hands. Satisfied with the presentation, he added a piece of donkey tendon, a complimentary addition. Wiping his hands, he carried the plate to the table. Please enjoy, esteemed guest. Should you require anything, do not hesitate to summon me, the young waiter said. Cheng Chumo nodded, and the waiter departed. Cheng Chumo began to indulge in his wine and meat, remarking to himself that the flavors were indeed delightful. Li Chong descended from the upper floor and immediately noticed Cheng Chumo. Though he did not recognize him, Cheng Chumo's demeanor intrigued him. To achieve great things, one must recognize talent. He approached Cheng Chumo's table, cupping his hands in a respectful gesture and bowing slightly. May I have the honor of sitting with you, sir? Li Chong inquired. Cheng Chumo looked up at him. Please, take a seat, Cheng Chumo replied casually. Li Chong settled across from him and summoned the waiter. Another pot of wine and a plate of donkey meat, Li Chong ordered, producing a small denomination bill. The waiter glanced at Cheng Chumo, aware that if Cheng Chumo disapproved, he would have to send Li Chong away. Cheng Chumo smiled and nodded, prompting the waiter to call for more dishes. Li Chong stood to pour a cup of wine for Cheng Chumo, filling one for himself as well. May I inquire where you currently hold your esteemed position? Li Chong asked. Cheng Chumo shook his head, a hint of nostalgia crossing his features. The term esteemed position resonated well. Once, Cheng Chumo indeed stood at the pinnacle. But now it felt like a fleeting memory. Cheng Chumo's gaze held a piercing intensity, as if he could see through everything. Li Chong felt a thrill of excitement. He had encountered a master. To be candid, I am currently orchestrating a significant endeavor. Would you be willing to lend your support to a younger individual like myself? Li Chong said earnestly, his eyes fixed intently on Cheng Chumo, awaiting his response. Cheng Chumo continued to sip his wine, feigning ignorance of Li Chong's proposition. In his eyes, there were no significant matters. The more Cheng Chumo remained nonchalant, the more exhilarated Li Chong became. This was indeed the demeanor of a true master. Li Chong produced a token from his pocket, sliding it across the table towards Cheng Chumo. Do you recognize this, esteemed elder? Li Chong asked. Cheng Chumo cast a fleeting glance at the token, his heart racing, yet his expression remained unchanged. This is the Eastern Palace token. Tokens are meaningless without power. Are you attempting to impress me with merely a piece of metal? If that is the case, then I congratulate you. I believe you. Now, please leave, Cheng Chumo remarked, opting for a strategy of retreat to gain ground. As anticipated, Li Chong quickly rose, bowing in apology. Please do not misunderstand. I simply wish to convey that my endeavors hold great significance for the state, Li Chong insisted, his gaze fixed on Cheng Chumo. ready to act should he perceive any sign of weakness. His plans could not be revealed to outsiders. Cheng Chumo remained unfazed, continuing to drink. Another pot of wine. Cheng Chumo instructed. The waiter promptly delivered the wine. After filling Cheng Chumo's glass, he prepared to leave. Cheng Chumo produced a larger bill. Take this, he insisted. The waiter hesitated, intimidated. Come now, accept it. It is fate that you serve me today, Cheng Chumo encouraged. The waiter, trembling with excitement, accepted the bill, speechless. Cheng Chumo resumed his drinking, ignoring the young waiter. Ah, and have the waiter fetch me a bowl of tofu pudding, Cheng Chumo added. The waiter hurried off to fulfill the request. Cheng Chumo turned to Li Chong. Young man, allow me to offer you a piece of advice. Do not presume that the mountains lack tigers, for those who have encountered a tiger have long since turned to dust. Li Chong felt a jolt of surprise, contemplating the meaning behind Cheng Chumo's words. After a prolonged silence, he stood up. Thank you for your guidance, esteemed elder, Li Chong said, before ascending the stairs to his room. Inside his chamber, a burly man awaited Li Chong. Investigate that individual downstairs. If you uncover his identity, eliminate him. If not, proceed with caution, Li Chong commanded. The man set off to gather information. After satisfying his hunger and thirst, Cheng Chumo strolled through the streets. A faint smile gracing his lips. He sensed someone following him. Upon reaching a secluded alley, Cheng Chumo turned, casually toying with a copper coin. Come forth, he called. Several burly men emerged. Without further ado, Cheng Chumo launched the copper coin. It did not claim lives, but rather, it embedded itself into the thighs of those men, causing them to collapse in agony. Cheng Chumo approached them, hands clasped behind his back. It has been many years since anyone dared to follow me. Today, I spare your lives, for I am in good spirits, he declared before departing. Once certain he was no longer being followed, Cheng Chumo returned to the government office. Plans have changed, gather your belongings. We are leaving, he instructed. The two women did not question him, quickly packing their things before rejoining him in the carriage. Cheng Chumo found Shui Guan, instructing him to cooperate before driving the carriage away. The carriage meandered through the city, attracting many curious glances. Li Chong observed from an upper floor. Who is he, and what does he seek with the imperial consort? Li Chong pondered, recognizing the carriage as the one used by the imperial consort. Cheng Chumo purchased a residence in the city, where the three of them settled. That same day, Li Chong arrived with gifts for a visit. The front gate stood open, yet no one responded to his knocking. He entered the courtyard. The imperial consort and the lord were seated, sipping tea, while Cheng Chumo sat quietly with his eyes closed. Upon seeing Li Chong enter, the lord erupted in anger. Who do you think you are to intrude here? He shouted. Li Chong hastily attempted to explain, but his words fell on deaf ears. Cheng Chumo opened his eyes. Calm yourself, my dear. This man is known to me, Cheng Chumo stated. Li Chong quickly bowed, casting a furtive glance at the lord. Do masters have a penchant for women? He wondered. Imperial consort, please serve the tea, Cheng Chumo added. The imperial consort complied, setting out the tea service. Please, have a seat, Cheng Chumo invited. Li Chong expressed his gratitude and sat down. Why did you kill my people? Li Chong asked directly. Countless lives have met their end by my hand. Whom do you refer to? Cheng Chumo responded with a wry smile, his gaze turning icy. As Li Chong met Cheng Chumo's penetrating stare, he trembled involuntarily. The Empress Dowager fell in terror, while the Princess of Qizun was left bewildered. Cheng Chumo, a man who had slain millions, possessed an aura of dread that few could comprehend. Even stepping on a million ants would evoke his wrath. If you wish to die, I can oblige, but do not disturb Madame Chow. Your demise will be far from pleasant, Cheng Chumo declared, closing his eyes thereafter. The three finally emerged from their nightmare. Their garments drenched in sweat. Li Chong, feeling the weight of his fear, hastily took his leave, certain he could not provoke this man. The Princess of Qizun supported the Empress Dowager back to their chamber, unable to meet Cheng Chumo's gaze. Cheng Chumo forced a bitter smile, realizing he could no longer display his true self before the princess. Once in their room, the princess wept in fright, tightly embracing the Empress Dowager. The Empress was equally unsettled. Who could have anticipated the seemingly gentle Cheng Chumo could harbor such terrifying depths? Chapter 380. A test in an effort to soothe the two women, Cheng Chumo took it upon himself to prepare a meal. After the dishes were ready, he knocked on their door. Dinner is served, he announced in a gentle tone. We shall not partake. Sobbing, you eat alone, the Princess of Qizun replied. Too frightened to face him, unwilling to leave the room. Left with no choice, Cheng Chumo dined alone. Inside, the two women used handkerchiefs to wipe away their tears. Sister Chow, we cannot remain cooped up forever. I am famished, the princess lamented, gazing at the Empress with genuine hunger. The Empress bit her lip, equally starved. Yet Cheng Chumo's gaze was simply too intimidating. Perhaps we ought to venture out to eat. Avoiding his eyes, the Empress suggested. The princess nodded vigorously. They stepped out to find Cheng Chumo dining in the courtyard. Sitting closely together, they spoke not a word, simply lifting their chopsticks to begin eating. Once sated, the two women rose to leave without even washing their bowls. Cheng Chumo's expression darkened, and he refrained from speaking. He knew that any further words would only inflame their fear, so he rose to wash the dishes himself. Morning arrived, and Cheng Chumo prepared another meal. The two women emerged once more, and this time, the princess stole several glances at him. Noticing his gentle demeanor, she felt a rush of relief and gradually inched closer. My lord, what shall you prepare today? She inquired sweetly. Cheng Chumo smiled faintly, remaining silent. After the meal, Li Chang arrived outside the courtyard with a food box and knocked at the door. The empress answered, and upon entering, Li Chang cast a deep gaze at her before stepping inside, feeling helpless. The treasure he sought was right before him, yet he felt powerless against such an extraordinary figure. I noticed you enjoyed the donkey meat from that establishment yesterday, so I have brought you another portion to try, Li Chang said, bowing to Cheng Chumo. As he laid out the food on the table, he also produced a jug of wine. The empress poured a cup of wine, discreetly slipping a silver needle into it. My lord, you may eat now, she announced, her cheeks slightly flushed, not quite accustomed to addressing him in such a manner. Cheng Chumo sampled the donkey meat. Quite good, he remarked, foregoing the wine. Wine is for enjoyment, but it must be savored at the right moment. The princess swallowed hard, longing for the meat. Observing, Cheng Chumo offered her the dish. Please, enjoy, he said. The princess beamed as she accepted it, and the two women returned to their room with the meat. Li Chang bowed once more. I wish to invite you to take action. I wonder how you might feel about that, he suggested. Cheng Chumo regarded Li Chang with indifference. Invite me to act? Do you comprehend the price of calling upon me? You cannot afford it. Depart, and do not trouble me again, he replied. Li Chang's certainty in Cheng Chumo's extraordinary abilities only strengthened. The more aloof he appeared, the more formidable he seemed. I wonder what the cost of your assistance entails. Li Chang mused. Cheng Chumo laughed heartily, producing a white paper folding fan. Indeed, to impress, one must wield a folding fan, he quipped, fanning himself lightly. 10 million, he stated. Li Chang's heart skipped a beat. 10 million? Please wait a moment. That is no trifling sum, he stammered. Cheng Chumo cast a dismissive glance at Li Chang, as if mocking his apparent poverty. Embarrassed, Li Chang bowed again and took his leave. The empress and the princess rushed out. My lord, we desire more of that meat. The princess exclaimed, a strand of meat dangling from her lips. Cheng Chumo laughed heartily, rising to wipe her mouth gently. Come, I shall take you to eat. Indulge as much as you wish, he offered. The princess cheered, planting a quick kiss on his cheek. The trio departed the courtyard for the tavern, where the attendant hurriedly approached upon seeing Cheng Chumo. Sir, welcome. What would you like to have today? He asked eagerly, leading them to a table by the window. Donkey meat and a jug of wine, Cheng Chumo instructed. The attendant complied, soon presenting a large platter of meat. The princess and the empress dined joyfully, each more beautiful than the other, their eating habits remarkably graceful. The princess, having followed Wu Zetian for several years, displayed impeccable manners, while the empress, the daughter of the Sui dynasty's Prince Yang Xiong, was equally refined. As they relished their meal, a young man stared intently at them. Bring him over, he commanded. Several attendants approached Cheng Chumo's table. Our young master wishes to invite you both for a drink, they announced. The princess's expression soured, and the empress frowned. My lord, someone is bullying me. Do something about it, the princess implored, pouting. The attendants turned to Cheng Chumo, one of them pressing down on his shoulder. The princess couldn't help but smile. It had been years since anyone dared to touch Cheng Chumo in such a manner. A cold glint flashed in Cheng Chumo's eyes. Where's your master? He inquired. The young man stood, believing Cheng Chumo had been intimidated. He swaggered to the table, addressing the empress and the princess. I am from the Wang family. You know of them, yes? They wield considerable influence, he boasted. The princess smiled sweetly at him. The Wang family. How are you related to the Wang family from Taiyuan? She queried. The princess was no pushover. Ha ha ha, follow me. And I shall tell you all about it this evening, the young man replied, attempting to place a hand on the princess's shoulder. She smiled faintly, her expression chilling. Suddenly, the young man's eyes widened in shock as a dagger pierced his abdomen. The attendants gasped in disbelief. Ah, he screamed, clutching his wound. The princess held a finely crafted dagger, having struck him with it, yet it bore no traces of blood. Hee, you truly possess courage to provoke me. Hee. How terrifying the Wang family is, remarked the princess of Shizuan, glancing at Cheng Chumo. Cheng Chumo delivered a swift kick to the knee of a subordinate. With a crack, the subordinate collapsed to the ground, wailing in agony. Cheng Chumo, exasperated by their incessant noise, flicked his wrist, sending a few coins flying, and fell silent. He then raised his gaze towards the upper floor. Do you wish to die? Cheng Chumo questioned. Above, Li Chang trembled. Those few individuals were arranged by him, and indeed, the young man was a scion of the Wang family of Taiyuan. He had not anticipated that Cheng Chumo would dare to kill directly. He intended to resolve the conflict. Yet Cheng Chumo had taken matters into his own hands. Li Chang hurriedly descended the stairs, bowing. Please do not blame me. I recognize my error, he said. With a whoosh, a coin pierced through Li Chang's palm, causing him to scream in pain. Patrons dining hastily attempted to flee outside, while a group of constables shoved them back inside. Cheng Chumo stood up and turned to the two women. We shall dine tomorrow. For today, we must return, he declared. The two women nodded gently. Cheng Chumo kicked open a window, and the princess of Shizuan leaped out, while the clumsy concubine Xiao struggled to follow. With a sigh, Cheng Chumo scooped her up and jumped out of the establishment. As he vanished from sight, Shueguan emerged from the shadows, wiping sweat from his brow. Fortunately, I arrived in time. What connection do the Wang family and Li Chang have? Shueguan muttered to himself. Chapter 381. 100 million at stake. I must assist in dealing with the Wang family. This is a splendid opportunity to showcase my capabilities, Shueguan mused. Before stepping into the tavern, he glanced at the lifeless bodies of several individuals. Have their families come to collect the corpses. Those who dare provoke my master are courting death, he stated, eyeing Li Chong, who stood bloodied at a distance. Who are you? Shueguan furrowed his brow, for he did not recognize Li Chong. Li Chong smiled faintly. Who I am is inconsequential. I have a letter from the Wang family of Taiyuan, he replied, producing a letter from his bosom and handing it to Shueguan. Shueguan accepted it, tearing open the seal. After reading, he folded the letter and tucked it away. Someone is courting death, he remarked. The Wang family demanded that Shueguan cease hostilities against the Nanzhao kingdom. These individuals could indeed be connected. The Wang family and the Nanzhao kingdom had ties, and Li Chong was linked to the Wang family. Owner, come forth, Shueguan called. What does that esteemed guest desire? He inquired. The owner hurriedly glanced at the waiter. Donkey meat, the waiter responded promptly. Shueguan nodded knowingly. Deliver 10 pounds daily, he ordered. The owner wiped sweat from his brow, relieved it was merely a culinary request. The waiter returned to the kitchen to prepare the meat, then hurried off to catch up with Cheng Chimo. Cheng Chimo and the two women had just returned to their courtyard. The princess of Shizuan wore a disgruntled expression. My husband, you must avenge me. They bullied me. That Wang family tormented me, she pouted. Cheng Chimo nodded, having already deduced the connection between the Wang family and Li Chong. Without a powerful clan protecting Li Chong, he would not have survived to this day. Sir, wait a moment, the waiter gasped, catching up to Cheng Chimo while carrying a food box. Sir, this is meat. I shall bring you more tomorrow, he said. Cheng Chimo smiled as he accepted it. The princess of Shizuan's face brightened, and concubine Chao gazed longingly at the food box. Having not eaten well earlier, they returned to their room, where the two women began slicing the meat. As they cut, concubine Chao stealthily popped pieces into her mouth. A large platter of meat was soon prepared, and the two women feasted joyfully. A day later, Li Chong returned to the courtyard. The first order of business being an apology. He was determined to enlist Cheng Chimo's assistance. After the tavern incident, Li Chong had confirmed that Cheng Chimo was an extraordinary person. Otherwise, Shueguan would not have been so eager to please him. Cheng Chimo remained out of sight. My husband does not wish to see you. Begone, declared the princess of Shizuan, her infatuation with Li Chong evident. Li Chong, feeling helpless, departed. 3 days later, he returned once more, accompanied by a middle-aged man who surveyed the courtyard. What brings you here again? Asked the princess of Shizuan, irritated. Li Chong smiled apologetically. This is a member of the Wang family of Taiyuan. He wishes to meet your esteemed husband, he explained. The princess of Shizuan regarded the middle-aged man. Had it been another family, she might have permitted them to meet Cheng Chimo, but the Wang family? Absolutely not. Leave at once, she commanded, quite rudely. The middle-aged man did not take offense. He produced a letter, placed it down, and exited. Li Chong followed suit. The princess of Shizuan delivered the letter to Cheng Chimo. He opened it and muttered to himself, so that is the case. His expression darkened. The visitor was not a member of the Wang family. They were spies from the Nanzhao kingdom in Lingnan. They had come to persuade Cheng Chimo to convince Shueguan to cease military actions against the Nanzhao kingdom, asserting that should he assist, he would be regarded as a friend of their nation. The two women behind Cheng Chimo watched and giggled, wondering how the individual attempting to win over Cheng Chimo would react to the revelation. How entertaining. My husband, what do you intend to do? Inquired the princess of Shizuan. Cheng Chimo set the letter down. I shall heed your counsel, he replied, curious to see just how many connections Li Chong had. The Nanzhao kingdom and the Wang family were, in the eyes of ordinary people, formidable powers. If managed well, they could indeed achieve significant results. However, the prerequisite was Cheng Chimo's absence. It was impossible to expect him to ignore the matters of the Tang dynasty, for it belonged to him. With Cheng Chimo present, the Wang family appeared rather insignificant, and the Nanzhao kingdom was inconsequential. Annihilating them would not pose a challenge for Cheng Chimo. Next time they come, allow them entry, he instructed. The princess of Shizuan nodded happily. Sir, I have brought you meat, the waiter announced, standing at the entrance of the courtyard. The princess of Shizuan rushed out, lifting her skirts. You handle matters quite well. Keep it up, and I shall assist you in finding a match, she said, taking the food box. The waiter was overjoyed, bowing repeatedly in gratitude. The princess of Shizuan, now even more pleased, told him to return. Not far away, Li Chong and the middle-aged man emerged from the shadows. How did it go? Li Chong asked. He is no ordinary person, the middle-aged man replied. Cheng Chimo has already resolved matters in Liaodong. Will he come to Lingnan? He appears well acquainted with the Tang dynasty, the middle-aged man noted. Li Chong smiled confidently. He will not. I have received word that the armies of the Arabian Empire have crossed the steppe and will soon reach Gansu. At this juncture, Cheng Chimo should be stationed in Gansu. He will have no time to concern himself with Lingnan. The two departed. The following day, the two individuals once again arrived at the courtyard. Princess Chizuan permitted their entrance. Cheng Chimo reclined on a bamboo chair, while concubine Chao sat beside him, fanning him gently. We have come to see you, sir, they both greeted. Cheng Chimo did not meet their gaze, merely parting his lips slightly. Concubine Chao took a grape and placed it in Cheng Chimo's mouth. What brings you here? He inquired after swallowing the fruit. The two exchanged a glance. We wish to request your assistance, sir, Li Chong stated. Money is required, Cheng Chimo replied. Indeed. We require funds. Our husband is currently short on cash. Without 30 million, it is futile to even consider, Princess Chizuan interjected. This is what Ching Chumo instructed him to say. The need for military funds in Lingnan made it most advantageous to extract them from their resources. Li Chong turned to the middle-aged man, who nodded slightly in agreement. We will provide the funds. Please, sir, lend us your aid, Li Chong said. Ching Chumo felt a stir of interest. It appeared they possessed considerable wealth. What do you require of me? He asked. To deal with Shueguan's master, Li Chong replied. They have already attempted to win over Shueguan, but failed. They even sent assassins after him, all of whom were slain. Shueguan's master is formidable, he continued. If Cheng Chumo could manage to confront Shueguan's master, they would have confidence in capturing Shueguan, thereby allowing Li Chong to control Lingnan and conclude the conflict with the Nanzhao kingdom. 100 million, Cheng Chumo stated. The two were taken aback. 100 million? Do you know who Shueguan's master is? If you want 100 million, I suggest you find someone else if I am in a foul mood, Cheng Chumo retorted. They exchanged glances, and the middle-aged man clenched his teeth, deciding to part with the money. We will pay, he affirmed. You may deliver the funds at your convenience. And I shall act accordingly, Cheng Chumo replied. The two nodded in agreement and departed from the courtyard. Where shall we procure such a sum? Li Chong pondered. Consult the Wang family, the middle-aged man suggested. What reason do they have to lend us money? Li Chong queried. The middle-aged man did not respond. The matter was a secret between the Nanzhao kingdom and the Wang family. 3 days later, an assassination attempt on the bald, old man was planned. Cheng Chumo and the two women leisurely spent half a month. During this time, Shueguan visited once, informing Cheng Chumo that the snow in the Tang dynasty had begun to melt and the displaced populace was gradually returning. The snowstorm had caused the disappearance of over 1 million people, most presumed dead. The term missing was merely a means to placate the public. It was not that the court was unwilling to disclose the truth, but rather that they could not. For revealing the reality would lead the populace to accuse the court of incompetence, a burden no one wished to bear. Is the master in? A knock sounded at the door. Princess Chizuan rose to open it. Li Chong and the middle-aged man reappeared, greeting Cheng Chumo. Sir, we have gathered 100 million, Li Chong announced. Excitement coursing through him at handling such a large sum for the first time. A group of burly men entered, carrying 10 large chests. The men opened the chests. And Cheng Chumo cast a casual glance. Concubine Chao did not even look, while Princess Chizuan's eyes sparkled as she approached the chests, inspecting them eagerly, her hands brushing against the contents. Having never seen such wealth while following Wu Zetian and Chang'an, she felt exhilarated to witness such a fortune in reality. Shall we proceed in 3 days, sir? The middle-aged man inquired. Cheng Chumo lifted a teacup from the stone table. That is agreeable. Concubine Chao spoke up. Li Chong and the middle-aged man exchanged a glance and, after a slight bow, turned to leave. Once outside the courtyard, the middle-aged man remarked, Is that woman Concubine Chao? Li Chong nodded in affirmation. The middle-aged man smirked. She is indeed enchanting. Li Chong, understanding his thoughts, cautioned, Do not act recklessly. She is not someone you can provoke. Are you content to guard treasures without utilizing them? Do you know how wealthy Li Yuanji is? Are you aware of the wealth Li Shimin amassed after defeating Wang Shichong? And what of Lu Haitan? Each is richer than one could imagine, the middle-aged man countered. Li Chong fell silent, aware of the truth. Those treasures were acquired from the plunder of half the Tang dynasty, leaving Luoyang nearly barren. Yet, Li Chong hesitated. Cheng Chumo was formidable. Fear not. Once Shueguan's master is eliminated, you will control all of Lingnan, and our Nanzhao kingdom shall send troops to assist you, the middle-aged man reassured. Li Chong nodded in agreement, and the two men walked further away. Inside the courtyard, Shueguan emerged from the tunnel with his people, exhilarated at the sight of the 10 chests. 100 million. Cheng Chumo is indeed capable to acquire such a sum so swiftly. Let us use it for military funding, he declared. Cheng Chumo nodded. No, not so fast, Princess Chizuan interjected, spreading her arms to block the approach of Shueguan and his companions. Shueguan was speechless. Turning to Cheng Chumo, who averted his gaze, indifferent to the unfolding drama. Amused, he noted Princess Chizuan's unexpected greed. Shall I leave you some? Shueguan proposed. Princess Chizuan remained unmoved. She intended to keep the money for herself. Shueguan sighed, glancing at Concubine Chao. Concubine Chao approached Princess Chizuan. These banknotes are unattractive. How about we promise you a share of the treasure once we unearth King Chao's hoard? She whispered. After a moment's contemplation, Princess Chizuan nodded in agreement. Very well, she conceded. She dashed back to her room, returning with a bag. After filling it, she turned to Shueguan. Here, take it. Shueguan expressed his gratitude and commanded his men to carry away the chests. Your Majesty, what shall we do next? Shueguan asked. Let your master play along in a performance. I aim to draw out all those individuals and capture them in one fell swoop, Cheng Chumo instructed. Shueguan bowed in acknowledgement, secretly relieved that Cheng Chumo was present in Lingnan, for had he not been, the situation would have been dire. Rest assured. I have made the necessary arrangements, Shueguan assured. There are still individuals from the Nanzhao kingdom causing trouble in Lingnan. How do you intend to wage war? This is not a child's play. I grant you half a month to secretly investigate all the spies, Cheng Chumo insisted. Shueguan nodded. It was indeed a significant concern that enemies lingered in Lingnan at this time. Lacking experience, Shueguan understood that before war, tensions between the two nations' people must be heightened. And then provocations would follow. Whatever the opponent did, it must be turned into a reason for conflict. Subsequently, unforeseen incidents would escalate tensions further, necessitating the cleansing of all spies within the nation before engaging in war. Shueguan's approach was too sudden. The Nanzhao kingdom had no time to react. Rest assured, I shall attend to it immediately, Shueguan affirmed. Cheng Chimo nodded. Shueguan exited through the tunnel and returned to the government office, where he erupted in anger, berating the officials for their incompetence. Cheng Chimo's words rang true. The presence of enemy spies in Lingnan at this juncture was perilous.